Our protagonist, Takumi, finds himself unexpectedly caught in a twist of fate, a mysterious teleportation incident that claims his life. Upon opening his eyes, he discovers he exists now as a soul standing before a goddess. She reveals to him that he has been reincarnated into the world of Mard by a summoning spell from people in that realm, and she herself is Nolan the goddess overseeing this other world responsible for its order. She apologizes for the unfortunate events that led here. Regarding the incident, Nolan explains in simple terms that the summoning spell randomly draws a few people from other worlds. Even though Mard had been removed from the list of possible destinations somehow, Takumi was still caught up in it. Basically, this was a glitch, not a feature. The summoning magic used by those people was extremely dangerous, and thus was banned. Yet, they dared to defy the goddess to use it for evil purposes. Nolan, furious, snapped her staff in two and cursed wildly. Takumi guessed the goddess must have been really angry to show such emotion. After discovering the incident, she tried to intervene but failed, which led to Takumi's death. Now, Nolan wants to make amends by letting him enjoy a new life in this other world. As for the others, who were summoned, they are safe in the kingdom of Cydonia, leaving Takumi alone. Since he can no longer return to Earth, he accepts his fate to start over naturally, accompanied by countless blessings from Nolan. First up, the goddess's blessing in this world, many wonders exist. Just like in games or Japanese anime, so power is essential to live happily and healthily. Takumi is about to experience all those exciting things, but he's worried out of his mind. To reassure him, Nolan promises to grant him an unbeatable, superpowered ability. Next, he checks his status screen. His name remains the same, but his age is reset to 0. In Mard, there's no working a paycheck like on Earth, so Takumi must carefully choose his main skill. The goddess offers some high-tier suggestions, swordsman or mage, but he's not into fighting, so Nolan gives him other options. Alchemist, I'll grant him an unparalleled superpower. The young man then familiarizes himself with his status board. His name remains unchanged, but his age has been recalibrated by MB and Mard. There's no such thing as working for a wage like on Earth here, so he must choose his main skill carefully. The goddess offers some high-tier suggestions like swordsman or mage, but he protests. I don't like fighting, so Nolan proposes other options. These include alchemist, sorcerer, blacksmith, carpenter, and potion maker. She bundles all these talents together, along with various magic types to make life easier for him. It's the first time something like this has been stuffed into one person's fate. Into him, he cried out in shock, then was sent down to the continent of Aska to begin his second life. At first, he complained about how little explanation he got, but the goddess said nothing more. Before he knew it, he was already facing a terrible feeling. Talk about bad luck. Takumi noticed water nearby and took a look. He realized just how ridiculously handsome he was. Well, that was some consolation after all. Checking his gear, he saw the goddess had prepared almost everything he needed: food, water, and other essentials for survival. Takumi vowed to forget his past and look toward a brighter future in this new world. After reviewing his status sheet, he saw countless skills newly added. First off, in magic, he wielded 4 main elemental attributes: fire, water, wind, and earth. His starting class was alchemist mage with blacksmithing skills and also time-space magic in tow, along with blessings from the goddess, which he wasn't too thrilled about, fearing the trouble they might bring. So he hid a few status lines to make survival easier. As for magic, he wanted to test his limits, starting with water magic at a basic level, which he found quite fascinating. Wind and earth magic were also fun, confirming this was indeed a fantasy world. Not knowing where to go, his first goal was to find a village so he could learn more about this place. By chance, he spotted a sturdy branch and decided to use it as a weapon. Thanks to his ability to appraise objects, he learned the wood came from a monster called a chance tree. The wood was high quality, perfect for a simple weapon. For safety, he also gathered some herbs to make medicine. Everything became much easier thanks to his appraisal skill. He collected a ton of different plants and stored them in his inventory for later. He silently thanked the goddess for granting him so many skills. Suddenly, a small girl's cry for help caught his attention. She ran up to Takumi seeking refuge. It turned out she was being chased by a rabbit the size of a cow. That was one hell of a predator. Takumi pulled out his branch to defend her. The girl warned him the creature was carnivorous, which terrified him so much, for rabbits just eating grass. As the beast lunged at him, Takumi calmly struck a killing blow right between its eyes. The creature collapsed. The info showed its horn could be used to make cold medicine. Just as he was catching his breath, he received a new class warrior. He thought only a few common classes would appear, but this was different. The girl he saved thanked him, introducing herself as Molly. She lived nearby in the village of Bo. She'd gotten lost while gathering herbs deep in the forest. Takumi asked to accompany her, and she agreed. She seemed relieved, happy she wouldn't have to spend the night outdoors. Molly reminded him to bring the rabbit since its meat was delicious. He stored it carefully. Molly praised his skills, impressed. Takumi thought, damn, I was going to hide this power, but I guess I had no choice. The two then introduced themselves properly. Molly revealed she was a transfer student from the Sidonia Empire. Meanwhile, the three summoned heroes still didn't understand what had happened, until a woman appeared calling them warriors, thanking them for answering the summoning. Turns out they were classmates, which eased their confusion. When they asked where they were, they learned it was a world completely different from Earth. Their mission: save this world. They begged for power from the warriors. Two of them protested they'd been brought here without permission and wanted answers. The woman promised to explain everything. She introduced herself as Elizabeth, the first queen of the Sidonia Empire. Her beauty immediately earned their trust, except for Arn, who remained wary. Arn had also received a blessing from Nolan, gifting her with perception abilities. She knew not to trust the woman before her. Elizabeth was too dangerous. He receives warm looks from the two others, but the only one on guard is Arn Dot. The young girl is blessed by Nolan with the power of detection, so Arn knows she's not trusted by those in front of her, because she's too dangerous and she only needs to listen to herself to find the right answer. Back at Takumi's place, it's now evening after news that he took charge. The Molly family was overwhelmed with gratitude. They introduced themselves: Banga, the hunter, his wife Martha, and Uncle Bobon, the village blacksmith. When Takumi asked to stay in the village for a while, they welcomed him without hesitation. This region was famed for its endless resources, rich veins of ore and rare herbs, a true paradise for craftsmen. Most villagers worked in trades that nurtured this flourishing community. Takumi was deeply thankful, but there wasn't a single inn around to repay the family's kindness. So they offered to build him a home instead, and Takumi agreed without hesitation. The villagers set him up on an empty plot of land, then pitched in to lighten the workload. Takumi, ever eager, used earth magic to lay the foundation with success, though draining it left him exhausted. Uncle Bobon admired Takumi's magical skill, and no one pried too deeply, just cheerful smiles. They assured him, leave the rest to us. And so began the young man's new life. A few days later, a small house stood proud, crafted by skilled carpenters from the village wood. Inside, essential items were set with care. Takumi's stats showed growth, his warrior and mage levels at 3. But he wasn't satisfied. He shifted focus to become an alchemist and blacksmith, a perfect fit for a village rich in resources. Martha helped him gather some ore to start crafting. His target, magical ore with the power to absorb and channel mana. Takumi's plan was to forge it into blocks, then shape it however he wished. Usually this required a massive furnace, but his special alchemy skills made it possible without one. After tinkering, Takumi successfully forged an iron ingot, though it drained a lot of mana. Caught up in excitement over new discoveries, he pushed himself too far. When his little sister visited, she found him like this, completely drained. She thought something was terribly wrong. When they come to visit, they find Takumi like this. At first, it looks like something's wrong, but it turns out he's just drained of mana. Molly reports this to her mother, and the result is a scolding. From now on, if he wants to craft, he must endure everyone's careful supervision. Uncle Bang even gave the young man some healing potions to keep him going. Under the watchful eyes of mother and son, men succeeded in creating solid gold ingots along with other metals. Using his blacksmith skills, men applied these materials to craft pots and pans. Thanks to the alchemist's skill, his craftsmanship soared to new heights. Takumi was like a fish in water here where resources never ran dry. In the following days, men learned weapon forging under Uncle Bobon. Since he possessed magic, he could control the heat as needed. This allowed him to forge weapons with stable high temperatures. For the first time, Uncle Bobon crafted such quality weapons, bringing him great joy. The young man's blacksmith skill reached level 40. However, strangely, his alchemist skill stopped progressing. The next morning, he shifted focus to potion making, asking Uncle Bang for a few vials. The young man promised to try crafting similar potions using herbs he'd gathered. Seeing his eagerness, Uncle Bang agreed. Following instructions, he successfully made healing potions, though their colour was less vibrant than usual. To understand more about the herbs, Takumi boldly used one himself. He nearly died several times, but thanks to his purification and recovery skills, though risky, he gained poison resistance. Before he could fully recover, an iron-armoured boar appeared. True to its name, its body was incredibly tough. Takumi charged with his spear, only to be thrown far back. He tried wind magic, but it was ineffective. To make matters worse, another monster appeared behind it. It seemed this monster was beaten by the boar, so it sided with Takumi. Thanks to this, he escaped danger. But the little spider wasn't so lucky. Takumi risked everything to let it approach, then used his alchemist skill to disintegrate the monster's head. Thankfully, the attack succeeded, though it hurt badly. He dragged his battered body over to the spider and asked if it was okay. The spider looked like it was about to meet its ancestors, but still answered. Since he saved it, Takumi repaid the favour by healing it. Just when he thought it was over, he suddenly gained the ability to tame creatures. He turned the spider into a pet. Looking at it, it was surprisingly cute. Takumi allowed it to follow him. Based on the leaf-like pattern on its back, he named it Leaf. The lost leg grew back and its body became a bit bigger. They communicated through telepathy. Leaf expressed joy at evolving. Together, they brought the boar back to the village, astonishing everyone. More importantly, the venomous spider clung to men, which prompted questions to ease villagers' fears. Takumi assured them it was tamed. Uncle Bang asked what kind of creature it was, since normally taming is only done with animals, not monsters like this. Today's prize was a whole boar, so the village held a feast. Of course, rare materials were returned to men. The two uncles told him to take these to the city to sell, as he could make a lot of money. Thanks to Takumi's presence, the village brightened. Sadly, he wasn't the type to stay long in a small village. The goddess was pleased watching his smooth life. Another friend curiously asked Nolan what she hoped for with this young man. Though she had granted him many things, she kept secret the reason she brought him here about a year ago. When the Empire performed the summoning spell, it meant Takumi had lived this new life longer than any summoned hero. The next morning, upon waking, Takumi realized his body was glowing, and the spider scolded him for treating it poorly. Leaf looked sorry, claiming it acted out because its master forbade it to play. Feeling lonely, it made mischief to annoy Takumi. Lately, the young man was absorbed in making healing potions, ignoring everything else. Takumi apologized and promised no more crafting that day, and took Leaf out to play. Leaf was overjoyed and hugged its master. Despite granting him all these powers, she still hides the reason she brought the young man here. It's about a year ago when the Empire performed a summoning spell. This means Takumi has lived longer in this new life than the other heroes called here this very morning. After waking, Takumi suddenly realizes his body is burning. He knows it's because the Spider Kid did it. He scolds the spider too for treating him like that. Fong shows remorse, saying the owner didn't let him play, and that's why he acted out to annoy him. Lately, the young man has been buried in making recovery potions, ignoring everything else. Fong apologizes and promises not to craft today, but take him out to play. Hearing this, Fong is overjoyed and hugs his master. Just then, someone enters. Marth sees this scene and thinks Takumi is being devoured. Min quickly explains they're just joking. That's the meat, right? Min had to speak up. He thought they were just joking around at first. But then she noticed the delicate threads Fong had spun and stared at them with eyes full of desire, scaring them all half to death. Later, Martha managed to craft an exquisitely delicate silk garment. The other village women gathered around praising her and asking about the spider silk. She explained it was a precious luxury item highly sought after by the noble class. Suddenly, Fong found himself with steady work in the village. He even forgot about his usual outings, or rather, now that he knew many cared about him, he simply didn't want to go anymore. In short, he was happy, just like that. It also gave the young man time to focus on other things, since he had already mastered everything the village had to teach. So, soon, he planned to head to the city to study alchemy and magic arts further. The hard part was saying goodbye to everyone, because everyone loved this young man so dearly. After arriving at Uncle Bourbon's place, he received new armor and boots, which needed some hardening because sometimes he might need to deliver powerful kicks. Just then, Uncle Banga arrived to check on things. Both men knew that their young friend was about to leave the village, and they looked a little sad. Yet exploring and learning everywhere was crucial. In the city, he would encounter new tech and resources, and there was a huge market for buying and selling perfect for someone as full of potential as Takumi. By chance, merchants from Boss were coming next time, so the uncles advised Takumi to travel with them. Takumi bowed deeply, thankful for their unwavering support over the past month. The next day, he saw Martha, throwing away the innards of a horned rabbit. She asked if this was the best part. Although it was infected with parasites, the poor thing was sick, so she planned to discard it. No one nearby could purify it. Hearing this, Min proudly said he could purify it instantly. The ingredients became completely clean and edible. Seeing him use light attribute magic, the old lady looked worried. Martha thanked him for the help. The ingredients have been completely cleaned and are edible now. Seeing her use light element magic, the old lady looks worried. Lance Mather, thanks for all your help and advice. He warned me not to use that kind of magic. It's fine in front of many people in this village, but out in the wider world it's a different story. Sure enough, I'd be targeted. In this realm, few can wield light magic. It's so rare you could make a fortune without worry. So, if the wrong people catch wind of it, the risk of being exploited as a tool is high. Because time here is short, Takumi started repaying the villagers by crafting a solid wall around the area so no one fears attacks anymore. For an entire week, he devoted himself to developing new things that help everyone. This was the best way he could think of to say thank you. A few days later, a familiar merchant named Mr. Banga came by looking amazed. Everything's changed so much in such a short time. Mr. PPC, who handles distributing goods, often visits the village to collect orders. Since villagers rarely go to the city, they rely heavily on someone like him. Takumi had everything ready, so he came to greet him as before. He told Mr. PPC he was from the Boat and Trade Guild, which is also Takumi's destination. Before leaving, the young man reminded the two about the over 100 healing potions he had left behind. If anyone got hurt, they could use them freely. That businessman was so impressed with the potions that he borrowed some to examine. Though basic, their design was exquisite, the colours flawless, making him eager to buy later. Almost everyone in the village came to see Takumi off, including Matha. Over the past week, she'd sewn a new outfit for him, woven from special silk of the wind, making it incredibly sturdy. Molly asked about the little spider who was sleeping, so they said goodbye, wishing him all the best. After putting on his new clothes, Takumi was thrilled. Not only were they beautiful, but imprinted with the magic patterns he often used. Though the time together was short, their bond was incredibly strong. Of course, he wasn't leaving forever. He promised to visit often. The villagers' farewell moved even those in the carriage. This village was the first home he made in this world, so he held it dearly. The PPC noticed how loved it was. The three escorts introduced themselves. Blondie was Hitmit Wet. Red hair was R, and the teasing elder was Boga. All were adventurers hired as bodyguards. Near the village, monsters were rare, but a little further out, dangers lurked, so the trio's protection was vital for business. When they saw the pouch Takumi carried, they asked about his magic beast. Takumi didn't hesitate to say his companion was a deadly spider. They were stunned, couldn't believe someone tamed such a creature. Real poked its head to look and got slapped by the spider for being reckless. He apologized, but no hard feelings, since he was warned the spider was sleeping. Surprisingly, Wind was very close to Boga, clinging to him like a parent hugging a child. Meanwhile, Mr. Peepsy asked again about the healing potions. If there were more, he hoped to buy some. Seeing a business opportunity, Takumi agreed, but before they could negotiate, monsters appeared. The three adventurers welcomed the fight. Life as an adventurer had gotten too quiet and dull. The Lion Fang team stepped up to block the goblins. According to Real's sharp eyes, around 20 goblins were lying in wait, planning to ambush and attack all at once. Real was the sniper, striking from afar, while the other two were light fighters. These small demons were no match. They were swiftly defeated, which put both Takumi and Mr. PPC at ease. Wind praised Boga's cool fighting style, while the others were a bit average. The journey continued for 3 days without incident. They welcomed Takumi to Botan, a sprawling city where many races lived together. He's a lightweight fighter. Generally, these little demons aren't worth the trouble. In no time, they were all taken down, leaving Men and Mr. PPC and Tam Fong to witness the spectacle. They praised Boga for his impressive skills, while the other two felt rather ordinary. Their journey stretched over 3 days, devoid of any further incidents. They welcomed the youth to Botan, a grand city where diverse races coexist, with pressing matters requiring the Adventurers Guild, so 3 days passed without a single encounter. Nothing unusual happened as they welcomed the youth Takumi into Botan, a sprawling city where diverse races coexist in harmony. Since Takumi needed to visit the Adventurers Guild, he asked the three companions to guide him through the city's maze so he could complete some registration procedures and paperwork. Fong too, so no one would mistake him for a dangerous monster. The young man was eager to register as an alchemist, but since that option wasn't available here, he had to settle for becoming an ordinary adventurer. Might as well get the ID card to prove his identity. He'd have to start at the lowest rank and complete at least one mission each month so the card wouldn't expire. After registering little Fong as a beast tamer, the staff nearly freaked out. Once the procedures were done, he went to meet Mr. Pepe to negotiate. Takumi wanted to supply around 100 healing potions. Knowing this would sell well, he priced each potion at 10 silver coins and 50 silver coins for the mana elixirs. Doing some quick math, the young man earned a surprisingly good amount. Actually, because he had no title yet, the buy price was a bit lower. Still, with about 7 million yen in cash in hand, Takumi didn't know what to do next. He thought to himself, is this deal too good to be true? And wondered what Mr. Pape's real intentions were by going this far. To a newcomer like him, it didn't seem like a scam, so with the village uncles seeming to trust him, Takumi felt a bit relieved. Meanwhile, Mr. Pape introduced the young man to some places where he could live and work comfortably. Since Takumi was a craftsman, he definitely needed a house with a workshop. Worried he might not have enough money upon arriving in the city, he was pleasantly surprised when Mr. Pape agreed to rent out some apartments owned by their guild. Before he could think it over, he was already taken on a tour. Though called renting when he arrived, it turned out to be a massive mansion. Mr. Thomas assessed the property as highly valuable. The rent was 1 gold coin and 50 silver coins per month. Not expensive, real estate here is highly valued with monthly rent set at 1 gold coin and 50 silver. When you do the math, it's not expensive at all, though there are tales of past deaths in these walls. The old man reassured him, stating that such stories were just rumours. They quickly finalised the villa since there was a small workshop nearby. Fong knew this new home would bring joy, but they would have to wait until tomorrow. There was a small workshop nearby. They also finalised the villa nearby, close to a small workshop. Fong knew this place well. It was their new home, but the move wouldn't be complete until tomorrow. So for now, he would stay somewhere else until everything was settled. Wandering around the city, he caught a whiff of waste scent lingering everywhere. The locals, they're used to it, so it's no big deal. Mr. Thomas explains that the city's waste all flows beneath through the sewers. For the wealthy. Like the nobles, the sewage is purified with magical tools, rare artifacts found only in dungeons or ancient ruins, hence their sky-high price. For commoners, cleaning waste is tougher. Priests are hired periodically to cleanse, but pollution still lingers in the air. The next day, the homeowner moves into the villa. As for moving outside, Takumi isn't in a rush. First, he has to craft a proper toilet to relieve himself comfortably. After mixing quartz and clay, the young man shapes it like in his old world. Next comes refining it to make it sturdy. With time-space magic, he can speed up the process. In no time it's done, but man, he's exhausted. Right after Takumi drinks a potion to restore his mana, It's tough work, but the result is simply amazing. Only missing a flush valve and it'd be perfect. Just as he's feeling good, he hears groaning from Miss P.E.P., so he rushes out to check. Turns out little Fong wrapped his grandfather into a cocoon, terrifying the master. A VIP guest treated like this, big trouble, but it's not what it seems. Fong's just helping him relax and the master looks genuinely happy. Still, Takumi steps up to apologize. The master isn't upset. Instead, he's thrilled by the unexpected experience. After using the new toilet, he asks what it is, calling it top-notch. Takumi explains it's cleansed with magic tools, so no foul smell. Hearing this, the master's amazed that Takumi can wield light magic. Suddenly, he recalls Martha's teachings and asks him to keep it secret. Okay, don't worry, I won't tell a soul, he promises, then asks to buy 100 of these toilets. Takumi agrees, though it'll cost materials and effort. Hearing this, PPC wants someone to help without exposing the secret. He advises buying slaves bound by master contracts, so there's nothing to fear. Takumi, gifted with light magic, must be a divine messenger. Besides, such a large house needs protection. At first, he's reluctant to buy slaves, but realizes it's necessary. So they head to the Mullen Trade Guild, a trusted place selling high-grade slaves. There, Takumi meets a pretty girl, but before he can say more, he's suddenly kicked out. He doesn't understand why she says, "This place isn't meant for a child like him." Next, Takumi goes to see Madame Mullen herself to find a suitable slave. Thanks to Mr. Pape keeping his identity secret is easier. She lays out strict requirements, only slaves meeting them will be sold. Takumi has never heard of slave contracts before. Back home, there's nothing like this. Madame Mullen explains slaves here have more rights than elsewhere, and are protected by the guild itself. Regarding a master's duties, Takumi must respect the slave's basic rights: food, clothing, shelter. Neither side can threaten the other's life or force actions outside the original contract. Slaves must keep their master's secrets confidential. Other than that, it's as Takumi imagined. Madame Mullen continues explaining contract types. For example, someone enslaved due to debt can leave once the debt is paid off. The same goes for criminals, who use slavery as a chance to restart life. Many other types exist, legal and illegal. Takumi can't choose war slaves or the like. Madame Mullen says they want someone who will work until Takumi grants freedom. When asked why Takumi reveals he's a producer, the fundamental rights of slaves include food, clothing, and shelter. Neither party is allowed to endanger each other's life. Coercing actions outside the initial contract is forbidden. Regarding the slaves, they must keep their master's secrets and not disclose any information to others. Other than that, it's similar to what men had imagined about slavery. The mistress continued to explain the different forms of contracts. For example, if someone becomes a slave due to debt, regardless of the reason, once they repay, they can leave freely. The same applies to criminals. Becoming a slave can be a chance to rebuild their lives. There are many other types as well, whether lawful or unlawful. My friend Takumi cannot choose war slaves or the like. What they were aiming for was someone who could work until Takumi granted them freedom. Asking for reasons revealed that Men was a skilled artisan. When it comes to criminals, it's similar. Becoming a slave is like being given a second chance to rebuild life and earn a living. There are many types, legal or illegal. Takumi couldn't choose war slaves or those first types. What he sought was someone who could work until Takumi himself granted freedom. When asked why, he learned that Men was a skilled producer and technician, and everything had to remain strictly confidential. For the youth, his focus was on crafting to the fullest, but he still had to fulfill his duties. Despite challenges, he pressed on with unwavering determination. This struggle makes his daily life quite challenging. If he could, he wishes someone would manage the mansion and handle all the household affairs, because his own skills are top tier and sure to attract enemies in the future. So he also needs someone capable of fighting to protect him. Mrs. Mullen, hearing this, confirms there is someone they need here. Maria is then introduced. Since childhood, she was taken by bandits and has no relatives, so they can feel completely safe keeping her until she wishes to leave. Besides cleaning, Maria knows how to calculate and keep records, making her incredibly useful. Takumi finds nothing to criticize and admires her thinking. Slaves here are treated well. Regarding work, she mentions managing a rather spacious mansion. Still, she is confident she can handle it, so Min feels reassured and even compliments her cuteness. Many might have chosen her by now, but oddly she's still here, which makes Takumi worry something might have happened. Maria feels happy being praised, but admits she only knows household chores. Anything else, like serving or translating, is definitely out of her league. Min is shocked because she never intended that. She firmly states she won't be involved in any intimate matters, so they reach an agreement. Mrs. Mullen adds that the person with fighting skills beside them currently has no commitments and they'll find the right time. Maria speaks up about Sophia but gets scolded to keep quiet. Seeing this, Takumi senses there's more beneath the surface. The mistress admits Sophia fights exceptionally well, but she is a troublesome slave. Trusting his instincts, Takumi requests to meet her. It seems Maria just acquired a new skill that urges her master not to miss this chance, explaining Takumi's firm resolve. Inside, Sophia turns out to be that very girl. The mistress reveals this friend has been here over 50 years. At the time of war, in the Elven Kingdom, trouble brewed. Relying on his instincts, he demanded to meet the other party. It seemed Men had just acquired a new skill that whispered to his soul, "Don't miss this chance." That's why he stood his ground so firmly. Inside, it turns out Sophia is the girl. Earlier, the owner mentioned that this friend has been here for over 50 years. The kingdom of the elite tribe has faced war at that time, and for some reason since then, Sophia has not been taken in by anyone, and she has no intention of being sold. She has been with them since childhood. There was never any thought of selling since they had been together since childhood. Mullen revealed that the left ear of the girl was seriously injured and her arms and legs suffered reduced mobility, though it didn't interfere with daily life. But pushing himself to fight is a serious problem. Moreover, the elf's special powers are sealed. It's very likely this curse was cast upon Sophia. Takumi realized this and wanted a private talk with the girl. Mullen agreed, surprising his friend. She had never behaved like this before, happily introducing herself, only to be ignored, told she was useless. So he gave up and borrowed her face to check. He confirmed Sophia's strength. Her stats surpass normal humans by far. If the curse is broken, she could unleash all her skills in battle. The owner asked how he felt about this. He immediately decided he wanted her, because if they fixed the root cause of her illness, everything would be resolved. No big deal. The others were shocked. No one had broken the curse in 50 years, yet he said it so casually. His confidence partly came from nearing the required level, so he was certain he could cure Sophia. The owner valued that friend and wanted to see Sophia live better, so agreed to the contract between the pair. Actually, Min didn't force her. Sophia could refuse. But Sophia shyly said no need to ask a slave's opinion. The formalities were quickly done. Maria ran over joyful, thanking the master for bringing the other sister to Mullen. She also performed the magical contract, ritual binding slaves to owners. No worries needed. The new girl promised to do her best to be useful. Sophia was the same, making Takumi a bit shy, hoping they would take care of his sister. He told them not to use formal titles since he's a kind master. Mullen felt relieved seeing Takumi as a decent owner. Back home, Fong immediately greeted them, though a bit wary from the assassin's aura. The girls had to explain that Fong was their pet, Harmless. Takumi also introduced the new member to Fong. Since the mansion was huge, he arranged individual rooms. Mera thought it was too luxurious, but with no one else around, might as well enjoy. There was also a bath, much to the sisters' delight. Takumi let them in first because it was equipped with magical cleansing items, so no worries about dirty water for those after. The sisters talked, surprised the owner would allow Sophia here, since Mullen had refused all previous offers, no matter the price. So the trust in their master must be strong. Sophia made a sly face, saying at the guild she had glanced at her contract, which held almost no info about Takumi's background or family. He was probably hiding something due to special circumstances. That evening, to welcome the new members, Takumi took the initiative to cook, even though it was Maria's job. Maria felt useless, but Takumi said it was just because it was his first day here. He was busy and would rely on her later. Sophia asked about eating together, of course. Since few lived here, it'd be more fun that way. Takumi didn't see them as slaves, but companions, and asked not to be called master. It felt strange. Mera agreed and joked Takumi keep the energy up. The next day, he went to a friend to get items needed to break the curse. They were carefully wrapped in magical paper, but caution was still needed. On the way back, he saw a church and stopped to pray. Before him stood a statue of the goddess Nolin, so he gave thanks for everything he'd been given. He heard the Cydonia Empire tightly controlled religion here, so why was her statue here? Suddenly she appeared and greeted him, surprising Takumi. His prayers had reached her, and she told him about the Holy Light Church and the Empire. They had nothing to do with worshipping her. He didn't see them as slaves, but more like companions. So he asked not to be called master anymore. It just didn't feel right. Hearing this, Mera obediently agreed and immediately called for Takumi to donate blood the next day. Takumi went to his friend's place to gather the necessary items to break the curse. The friend carefully wrapped everything in magical paper, but cautioned him to be careful using it. On the way back, Takumi accidentally spotted a church and stepped inside to pray. Before him stood a statue of the goddess Nolin, so the young man offered his gratitude for the blessings he had received. He also heard that the Cydonia Empire was tightly controlling religion in this land, so why was her statue here? Just then, the goddess appeared and greeted Takumi. Surprising him, it turned out his prayers had reached her, and she began telling him about the Church of the Holy Light and how the Empire had nothing to do with worship here. In this world, religion split into two main factions. Hearing this, she appeared to greet Takumi, surprising him. It turned out that prayer had reached her ears, allowing her to guide men and share stories. First about the Holy Light Church and the Empire, both unrelated to the worship of the spirit here. In this world, religion split mainly into two, the Creationist Guild and the Holy Light Church. Nolin belonged to the opposing side, with roots stretching far back. Even though this land was her statue, still remains intact. The Church of Light was the first to claim that the goddess does not exist. They collaborated with the Empire to spread dark rumors about the divine and simultaneously oppressed the constructive church. Yet she did not intervene in the small affairs of humans. The unexpected happened when the noble family of Cydonia activated a summon, bringing people from another world. And Mien, unfortunately, was dragged along, now living a life as it is today. Talking about this situation, it's truly bitter. But, well, Nolin has made up for it, so it's better. She reminded her friend to cherish the blessing within. His blessing is finite, not infinite. Since arriving here, he's always encountered good fortune. Everything he does succeeds, all thanks to the blessing inside him. But as he lives and grows, Mien will lose this blessing in the near future. So a warning is necessary. Takumi must be careful of the dangers targeting him. Hearing this, he understood and said, "Nolin, don't worry, I'll handle myself. I'm not a kid anymore." Cut to the Empire, where discussions about the heroes are in full swing. The Emperor wants to utilize them well. It's rare to have them return willingly. At first, the trio hesitated, not understanding the situation. But now they've started training hard, just as hoped. They'll be ready for use soon. The Emperor, pleased, waits eagerly for the results. Meanwhile, on the other side, instead of training, the two friends refuse to listen. One says he hates violence. Elizabeth insists their power should be used to save the world. The two friends promise no matter what happens, they will protect her. She understands, but the woman before them is too dangerous to trust, so when returning home, she gets playfully punished, falling flat on her face. Sophia tries to pick up an important item, so Mien secretly hides it in her inventory. This secrecy makes Sophia suspicious, since the item is wrapped in magical paper, confirming its danger. Curious, she quietly follows and witnesses Takumi using poison himself. Caught off guard by his own ignorance, Sophia instantly assumed this young man meant harm. But in truth, he was inflicting wounds upon himself, only to heal and gain experience. Suddenly, Maria dashed in, demanding, "What are you trying to do? If anything happens, I won't forgive you," she warned, then fainted on the spot. Seeing this, he tended to her injuries from the fall. Unexpectedly, difficulties arose. Perhaps the curse was draining her strength. After succeeding beyond hopes, he unlocked a new skill. Maria then explained that whenever she felt excitement or anxiety, she'd grow exhausted and faint. Hearing this, he began using purification and healing magic. Combining efforts, her damaged ear was restored, leaving Maria amazed. After resting until afternoon, she awoke, and they checked if she was feeling better. Sophia, still recalling the earlier incident, warned her sister about Takumi not as innocent as they thought. Maria smiled and affirmed this, for he was unique enough to heal Sophia despite initial panic. Looking into the mirror and seeing her ear healed, Maria finally understood. She had to apologize for misunderstanding his good intentions. He bore no grudge and explained that his light magic was just one level short of fully breaking the curse. Hence, he had to use the poison from Mr. PPC to inject himself and heal, naturally wounding himself to gain skill points to save her. Surely only he could do such a thing. Sophia had no words to express why Takumi took such dangerous risks. He just smiled, saying he promised to free her from the curse. Hearing this, tears of happiness slipped down, and she vowed to serve him faithfully for life. The next day, Takumi visited the library to borrow books on alchemy. Though the library held countless genres, only 4 volumes caught his interest. He wondered if the craft was really that simple. Why wasn't it more popular? Then he realized the text was ancient, explaining why ordinary people couldn't access it. He, blessed by the goddess, understood all the world's languages from the start, making it easier for him. Returning home, Maria suddenly brought up yesterday's events. Her passion for romance shone through, fully supporting Sophia and Takumi as a couple. Fong the pet chimed in, praising his master's coolness. They likened Maria the elf to a dreamy knight sworn to protect the princess forever. This was basically treating Takumi like a princess, leaving him speechless. At this hectic time, they rushed to produce enough toilets to meet demand. From tomorrow, things would slow down. Maria then asked what to make next. He planned to keep making toilets because they sold well, but deep down he longed for adventure, to explore lands rich with rare materials, unique cuisine, soak in breathtaking views, and uncover ancient ruins. Sophia would serve as his bodyguard, unafraid of danger. Maria would stay home to manage things while Fong the pet joined the journey. Maria wanted to come along too, as being alone at home was lonely. Takumi thought this was too risky. Tears welled in her eyes as she said, "Being home alone is like a lonely toilet lost in the desert." That struck a chord, and Takumi relented. Seeing her cry so much, he felt sorry. If she stayed alone, it would be worrisome. What if thieves came at night to be safe? He checked Maria's stats by touching her cheek. Surprisingly, her skills were impressive. She was no ordinary girl, but a true battle maiden. He praised her stats and asked if she was sure about joining. Maria confidently said she understood the risks and asked them not to worry. Sophia decided to teach her combat skills, which was perfect. Maria then inquired about the weapons they wanted to craft themselves. The elf chose a sword and spear, adding a bow and some throwing knives for defense if possible. Clearly, Sophia was a real warrior. Maria touched her cheek, and surprisingly, her skills were no joke. She could definitely be considered a female warrior, not just some ordinary fighter. Takumi praised her excellent stats and asked if she was sure about joining them. Maria excitedly declared she understood the risks well enough, so no worries. Sophia then decided to personally train her in combat. That was all that was needed. Afterwards, Takumi asked about which weapons they wanted to craft themselves. The elf chose a sword and a spear, and if possible, a bow, plus some throwing knives for self-defense. Clearly, Sophia was a true warrior. As for Maria, her skills related to the sword were strong, a sword and a spear. If possible, add a bow and a few knives for self-defense. Indeed, Sophia is a true warrior. As for Maria, she possesses skills related to swordsmanship, but fears that its attack power is limited. So, Sophia suggested switching to using a spear. Sophia advised switching to using a spear for safety. The material chosen for the weapon was enchanted steel. Takumi understood that mere hardness wasn't enough, so he aimed to craft the finest blade before setting off on their exploration. While waiting, the 2 sisters pushed themselves to train harder. After about a day, Takumi finally completed the blade, though he was quite exhausted. The magic steel demanded a heavy toll on his mana. After restoring his energy with a potion, he enhanced the weapon's attack power. It even gained self-repair capabilities. As for Maria's sword, from what Takumi knew, girls often kept it tucked beneath their skirt. Just imagining her slender leg sent a thrill through him. Maria felt a chill on her thigh, pure illusion. Once the weapon crafting was done, Takumi moved on to making outfits. However, he couldn't ask the 2 muses for their measurements. Out of options, he made replicas of them with matching sizes. Fong noticed his master's focused gaze and complimented the generous curves of Sophia and Maria. Embarrassed, Takumi pretended to be just inspecting. The armor materials included spider silk, along with other tough substances. He wanted his muses to look stunning, designing the gear to be as light as possible. After several days, everything was ready, and they tried the outfits on Takumi. Overall, there was nothing to criticize. The sisters were amazed wearing them felt like a second skin. They asked how he could make such perfect fits, but Takumi stayed silent. Fong wanted to tell them about the two mannequins who couldn't communicate, but Takumi had to keep the secret. Sophia praised how the weapon felt just right in hand. It even had enhancement magic. Maria pulled the gear from her thigh exactly as Takumi hoped. He was overjoyed. He also crafted magical rings for each of them, which improved and activated skills more easily. Though communication with the human was difficult, Takumi had to fight alongside them using his weapon. Sophia praised the weapon as perfectly suited to him. Besides that, there was also a strengthening spell. Maria proudly pulled out a thigh guard, just as Takumi hoped, making him gleeful. Not only that, he also made each person a magic ring, which improved and activated skills more easily. Sophia was shocked knowing such items must cost a lot of mana to create. Takumi shrugged it off, saying it was no problem since he had to push himself anyway. He brushed off the pain like it was nothing, telling himself he had to push beyond his limits, treating it all as rigorous training. After that, they headed to the Adventurers Guild to register the two girls. Luckily, the process here went smoothly, and they got their ID cards right away. They would start at the lowest rank, but the guild receptionist gave a stern reminder to complete their commissions before the expiration. Takumi said he came today to finish just that. At first, he thought to take easy quests, but Sophia feared it would drag on, wasting time to level up. Takumi confessed he never aimed to climb the adventurer ranks, he just wanted the guild status as a springboard for his journey. Suddenly, some obnoxious jerk showed up trying to harass the two girls. Thinking they were low-rank D-class, they tried to bully them. Takumi immediately stepped up fierce and protective. Though tough on the outside, inside he was about to freak out. At the scene, Takumi called out the punk for being rude and dirty, who could love that. In a flash, the punk threw a punch, but shockingly broke his own hand instead. Turns out Takumi had mastered a body-hardening skill that made him nearly invincible. The guildmaster came out curious about the ruckus. Seeing the injured punk, he assumed Takumi was the aggressor. Thankfully, the kind receptionist vouched for Takumi as the victim. The guildmaster ordered medical care for the punk and invited them inside to settle the matter. Suddenly, Takumi found himself under the guildmaster's watchful eye. He preferred to keep a low profile, and the old man promised secrecy. No worries there. Meanwhile, the punk sensed magical energy on Takumi, which shocked him. How did the receptionist know about that? The receptionist laughed, admitting he used a skill to harden his skin like diamond. That explained the broken hand. By the way, Takumi had tried to register as a spirit magician before but failed. After understanding everything, they agreed to promote the girls to D-class adventurers. To avoid trouble, those two were too pretty to ignore. Since they just registered today, they must complete assigned quests to level up fast without raising eyebrows. Sophia vowed to protect them with her life, so no worries there. Maria was eager to prove herself useful too. All agreed. Then, Han assigned the trio a mission to exterminate goblins and spiderlings spotted nearby. They used telepathy to report back enemy numbers. Sophia took down two with precise magic strikes, while the duo supported from behind. They had encountered quite a few monsters, making the elf suspect a whole pack. Likely even a goblin captain, but with their strength no big deal. Sophia ordered a surprise magical barrage to thin the numbers. That way, nothing left to fear. Suddenly, little Fong shivered. He was about to evolve. Takumi opened his space bag for him to rest inside. The others were stunned that their leader had this skill too. Thanks to the goddess's blessing, he had everything he desired. If he focused on training here at the monster nest, they noticed hundreds of monsters, but it was no threat. Following Sophia's lead, the three unleashed spells, catching the monsters off guard. 7 monsters were reduced to ashes. The lucky survivors charged the elf, but she handled them like a pro. Out of nowhere, the goblin captain lunged at Takumi, giving him a near heart attack. Luckily, his upgraded intuition let him predict and dodge. He countered with his signature flame finger spell, burning the beast to cinders. Back at the guild, everyone was stunned. Who would have thought they'd haul in a pile of spirit stones on their first hunt? Han was so shocked he lost his voice calling for a private talk. The guildmaster was speechless. How dare they breeze through a high-level quest? Just killing a few monsters wasn't enough. They wiped out the whole pack. Insane. As Han was about to scold them, more little Fong popped out, now evolved into a spider-human hybrid. Upon hearing she was about to evolve, Takumi opened his space pouch for her to crawl in and rest. The others were stunned that their master possessed such a skill. In truth, thanks to the goddess's blessings, he had everything he desired if he trained diligently upon arrival. At the monster nest, they counted hundreds of foes, but it was no issue. Following Sophia's lead, all three unleashed spells directly on the horde, catching the monsters off guard. One by one, 7 were incinerated, but the lucky survivors charged at the elf warrior. With creatures like these, it was no joke. Suddenly, the goblin general lunged at Takumi, nearly scaring him to death. Luckily, his intuition had leveled up, allowing him to anticipate and dodge, then counter with a spell that turned the beast to ash. Back at the guild, the sight shocked everyone. They had returned with a mountain of spirit stones from their first hunt. Han was so stunned he lost his voice and had to call out Bark for a talk. Bark was baffled. Such a high-level mission, treated like a walk in the park, just killing a few monsters and done. Not to mention, they even wiped out the entire pack. Unbelievable. Just as Bark was about to scold them, Fong suddenly popped out and smacked him in the face. Turns out he had evolved into a spider humanoid. Maria now had a new friend to hang out with, which made her happy. Han was so shocked he lost his voice. He had to call out later to talk as Mr. Bark was at a loss. A mission of such high stakes and they dared to act normally. Just defeating a few would suffice. Now they're going to punish the whole team. Truly outrageous. He was about to scold them further when suddenly a little creature crawled out and smacked him in the face. It turns out she had evolved into a spider. Maria now has a new friend to play with. She can now talk normally, and the guildmaster was stunned. They're talking like old friends, just like normal. The leader saw this scene and nearly jumped out of his skin. Not to mention the next day, Maria asked for some leftover fabric to make small lingerie. She was afraid using Fong's silk would be too wasteful. This left Takumi speechless. Suddenly, he got inspired and wanted to design a custom lingerie set for them. In the old world, the girl looked shy, but she still agreed to let the young man Fong make it. Then, they announced that old PP was coming to visit. When they arrived, he looked like this, probably scared stiff by that spider girl. He's usually scared, and now with a human head growing, no wonder he's even more terrified. Today, this friend came to invite Takumi to meet the Lord. The reason? Because Ming's toilet is so good, and it even comes with a magical purification device. Before he promised to support Ming so the Empire wouldn't stir trouble. It turns out it was thanks to the Lord's insistence. Takumi agreed. He couldn't refuse an invitation from the top. So the three went to the castle to meet him. The Lord praised the toilet Ming made, calling it absolutely fantastic, both eco-friendly and clean. It helped the city smell less foul. If every home had something like this, there'd be no fear of disease outbreaks. The Lord bowed to thank Ming. Ming humbly smiled and said, "If bowing means helping my land flourish, I'd bow all day long." This made them realize he was a good man. Besides the toilet, they also thanked him for the punishment order. Usually, his soldiers would warn Ming next time, but this time he said, "No need to push too hard, just keep yourself safe. If anything happens, the whole country suffers. Not just this region, the Empire is starting to keep an eye on Ming. So, don't let your guard down." Back home, little Fong handed over a pile of high-quality silk to make lingerie for the lady. This little one is pretty clever, knowing exactly what Ming needs. Takumi felt happy having her help. After finishing the lingerie, Ming was completely drained of magic power and exhausted. Yet, the two ladies were overjoyed. This girl was smart, knew exactly what Ming needed, and provided it right away. Takumi felt joy having her by his side to help complete the task. After finishing the underwear set, Min was completely exhausted and out of mana. Still, both muses were genuinely happy having locked themselves away in the workshop for 3 straight days. True dedication. They even insisted on testing it out for him. They even dared to ask if they could try it out for me. Their awkward silence painted their faces red, yet neither dared to speak up. If the master wanted to imagine a paradise scene, they wouldn't dare to look, and quickly ran outside. Maria thought, "Master really is shy around girls." She asked Sophia. "What do you think?" Sophia replied. "That was a bit cowardly." Takumi, embarrassed, slipped into his room pretending to regret it, though he actually wanted to admire the 2 girls in their scanty outfits. A few days later, men created a magic-powered refrigerator, incredibly convenient. Fong opened it to check and liked it because it emitted a cool breeze. Takumi said, "With this, food will stay fresh longer, but try not to open it too often." Before that, he had combined chromium and nickel to create stainless steel alloy. Once shaped, just add a cooling magic core and it's done. Maria was thrilled because now she could prepare fresh meals anytime, anywhere. They decided to keep one, so Sophia picked blue, and the rest were sent to Mr. PPC. Meanwhile, they prepared the next project. Men was asked what he wanted to do next. He said he planned to upgrade weapons and gear after the battle with goblins. He had some ideas and knew that for future adventures, he needed to prepare more. Men's blacksmith skills had improved, so he could now make armor from magic steel. But what he really wanted was a set made of emlyn and adamantite for peace of mind. Sophia said she would protect him to gather the materials. After arriving at the guild, men received bad news. No blacksmith in the city could handle such tough materials. Takumi needed dwarves to do it right. For now, he could only give men a list of blacksmiths in the outskirts of Boss. Speaking of professions, men's alchemist skills. Han said it took a lot of magic power to synthesize, but with Takumi, it shouldn't be a problem. He suggested mining ores directly would be faster. The receptionist directed the young man to Horus Town, a place known for mining to gather materials. But men needed a blacksmith guild permit to enter. Han showed men a backdoor way become an adventurer, take on monster hunting quests at the mines. Then he'd be allowed to mine ores legally. Men was happy. It was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The guild leader added another request: the city was running low on wood this season. Many adventurers were hunting black bulls, so fewer people were gathering wood. He asked men to collect some wood on the way to the mines. With his space magic, he could carry a lot. He jokingly called it 1 arrow 3 eagles, a funny twist on 2 birds. Having no other choice, men agreed. He was introduced to a blacksmith to accompany him to Horus, both for escort and companionship. Honestly, this guy was exploiting others quite something. After completing a bunch of quests, men would level up. He was a bit worried, since he had never escorted anyone before. When he asked about the Lionfang squad, he learned they had another mission far away. The distance from here to Horus took 7 days by regular carriage, with a demon horse pulling just 3 days. Since it was a monster, it made sense it ran twice as fast. Bad luck struck when Real's group used up all demon horses. When asked if they finished the mission, they were on their way back but ran into a black bull. No choice but to bring the meat back first so it wouldn't spoil. He complained about high-level monsters appearing non-stop, making escort missions much harder. The guild leader raised the reward. Since they were acquaintances, men let him come over, take a bath, then go borrow a carriage for a faster trip. Of course he agreed, but wanted to buy some minerals that men collected on the return trip. He also asked Takumi to make more refrigerators. These were just too handy. Meanwhile, Sophia was worried about the master, since he hadn't returned for a long time, fearing something bad had happened. She went to check. After all, it's a monster, so running twice as fast is only natural. Bad luck struck Real's team. They'd already used all their demon horses. When asked if the mission was complete, he replied that on the way back they encountered a wild bull. With no other choice, he took the meat home first. Letting it spoil would be such a waste. He was annoyed because high-level monsters had been appearing non-stop lately, so the upcoming escort mission would be far more challenging. The guild leader had already raised the reward. Since they were old friends, he went home, took a bath, and the 2 brothers then headed to a friend's place to borrow a horse carriage for speed. Of course, the friend agreed on one condition. He wanted to buy some rare minerals collected on the return trip, and also asked Takumi to craft another fridge. This item was just too convenient. Meanwhile, back home, Sophia grew anxious, worried for her master. since he hadn't returned yet, fearing something terrible might have happened. She decided to check for him. Late into the night, the young man finally brought Real back. They sought out skilled blacksmiths known as Rin's Guild, but no one could craft what was needed. Just then, their companion sensed a deadly intent nearby, until the friend sensed the deadly aura because he wasn't carrying much gear, so he grabbed his brother's hand and fled elsewhere. But he was caught and got kicked right in the face. Yet, it turned out to be Sophia the illusionist who misunderstood and aimed at the owner, so Takumi had to step in, blocking her to explain this guest belonged to him. After realizing the mistake, she apologized for losing her cool. Luckily, he was easygoing and didn't mind. Later, when he got home and saw 3 cute little sisters, he was shocked and said he needed someone to take care of the house and protect little Fong. He also remembered the annoying one, the spider assassin, and when he asked about her, she said she hated him and envied that young guy surrounded by girls. It turned out the other 2 teammates were already married, leaving him alone and single. Trying to get close to the 2 girls, Sophia declared, "My body and soul belong to my master." Maria said the same, promising to stay by his side forever. Hearing that, tears streamed down his face for his fate. Sophia then agreed to start collecting wood, a valuable resource, and conveniently on the way to work. All 3 girls agreed, so they'd begin in a few days. The next morning, after waiting for Takumi to return, he started crafting a new weapon. Without the materials on hand, he bought a sword. After disassembling it, he noticed a strong reaction. Though it hurt, he pushed on to forge 2 light swords. Without temporary materials to forge a new weapon, he bought a sword directly to work on. After disassembling it, he realized its reactions were intense. Though it hurt, the young man stubbornly pushed forward to transform it into a weapon of monsters acting aggressively in the Death Forest. They warned the team to be cautious, but they had already left. The next day, men borrowed the carriage from Mr. PPC to escort a client, a blacksmith named Gambo. Maria, skilled in controlling demon horses, took the reins. Meanwhile, the guild had received alarming news monsters in the Death Forest were growing more active. Warnings were sent to the group to stay vigilant, but they were already en route. At Mr. PPC's place, a distinguished guest arrived. This visitor said the king was very pleased with the gifted throne. He even wished to have one installed in the capital. Thus, he came to place an order. The issue of wastewater had reached a level that even the Sidonia Empire was affected. This was a massive problem, one that needed urgent solving. This is a serious threat linked directly to Enui's fate. Soon, they will make their move because they always envy our nation. Now, let's switch scenes to the 3 heroes who have been summoned. They're still training hard, and it seems only Arn is prepared to face the royal faction. His 2 friends remain unaware. After 2 days on the road, men's group stopped at a place far from the monster zone for Gamboan's safety. Meanwhile, Min also set up barriers. He had heard rumors about the group needing to hunt beasts, so he pushed deeper into the forest. Takumi asked if there was a way to distinguish monsters from normal trees. Sophia told him if he focused on sensing magic, he would see a monster right in front of him. Without hesitation, they moved in. But Takumi was attacked by many creatures. With 3 girls, they managed to take down one. But things got worse as more monsters surrounded them. Fong was thrilled to fight, but handling each one individually was time-consuming. Sophia requested they use magic. Then, a mutated monster appeared with incredible strength and rapid regeneration. No matter how much they cut, it grew back instantly. The elf girl explained fire magic was the only way to defeat it. Takumi agreed, and with Sophia's help, landed the final blow. Since it was an old tree monster, it dropped many edible fruits. Takumi had everyone gather them to bake apple pies. The next day, they reached Horus Mining Town. Their first order was to visit the Adventurers Guild to accept missions related to the mines. Their friend also showed them how to hunt mineral-eating rats. These creatures stick together, making it safer. While digging, Takumi struck gold, finding Mlin and Adamantis ores. Later, Fong sensed something approaching. A rat emerged, but was instantly blinded by Min's flash. Curious, the elder asked what happened. He explained these creatures live underground in darkness, so sudden bright light blinds them. Other seasoned adventurers had struggled to kill them before. Turns out, a simple trick was all that was needed. Maria felt frustrated, feeling useless. About a week later, they returned to Botan. Gambo instructed Takumi on refining and forging Maline and Adamantis alloys. He even taught how to enchant weapons with magic. This process took much of Takumi's time, but Min never gave up. Thanks to that, 2 exquisite sets of armor were completed. When asked about Takumi's lightning attack skill, he demonstrated his speed now as fast as thunder, his weakness still not fully controlling the new weapon. Sophia received a lightning spear while Maria was given a fire element weapon that shoots flames. This thrilled the elf, who promised to protect it at all costs. She requested a shield for balanced offense and defense. From her vantage point above, the goddess felt reassured seeing her disciples grow strong. Soon, the Empire's forces would make their move. After a year of training, the 2 heroes had grown immensely powerful, their destination the kingdom of Samano. For some reason, that woman managed to implant wicked goals into their minds. Akira and Yamato vowed to protect the world's peace. Within days, men finished crafting the shield, but it drained too much energy. Sophia felt guilty for having asked her master to do so. Meanwhile, at the palace, the Empire sent a letter, politely acknowledging knowledge of the purifier. Though courteous in tone, it was essentially a threat aimed at Takumi. The church representatives met with the king discussing Bakula's use of sacred purification magic. They sent a formal protest to Sidonia, claiming that light magic is a divine gift bestowed solely upon the Holy Light Church, demanding its recall. This magic falls under the church's jurisdiction. The king couldn't help but laugh at such a demand. He asked how to provoke such bitterness. The advisor bluntly said, if it's truly a divine gift, then let the church find the person using it. The 2 brave warriors had grown much stronger through training. Their destination was the Samano kingdom. For some reason, that woman had drilled into their minds certain crucial goals to achieve. The villains, Akira and Yamato, vow to follow through to protect the world's peace, no matter the cost. In just a few days, the shield was completed, but it drained so much energy that Sophia felt deeply guilty for asking her master to endure such hardship. Meanwhile, at the Imperial Palace, a letter arrived revealing knowledge of a user of purification magic. The tone was polite, but it was nothing less than a veiled threat targeting Takumi directly. Soon after, representatives from the church met with the king to discuss Bakula's use of the sacred purification magic. The church sent a formal protest to Sidonia, claiming that light element magic is a divine gift bestowed upon the Holy Radiant Church and thus should be reclaimed as it falls under the church's authority. The king asked with a wry smile how to deal with such a spiteful opponent. The reply was blunt. If it's truly a divine gift, then let the church find the original bearer. They went on to say that using sacred purification magic on a mere toilet is unacceptable. They urged the king to hand over all related items, namely the culprit who created that foul throne. Items because they were the very source of the cleansing demon artifact for the Sidonia Empire. But the request was flatly denied. Even though the Pope threatened to withdraw all priests, His Majesty was actually pleased, telling them to go ahead, for they absolutely would not interfere. Immediately after, PPC relayed this to Takumi. He knew the king had stood firm against Sidonia's envoy, and he worried a bit, but his friend just smiled, saying it was no big deal. Despite creating hostility with the church, there was still another sect, the Constructionist Church, who worshipped the goddess Nolin. Meanwhile, the Holy Light faction revered goddess Anas. The kingdom of Bacca guaranteed religious freedom. So many long-time followers belonged to the Constructionists. Besides, the priests only collected a tiny tithe, a token offering to fuel healing magic, not like the Holy Light sect, which, born in Sidonia, was more like bandits. Hearing this, men silently thought it best to avoid trouble. But then, his friend made a request. He wanted men to meet the king face to face to chat and open their hearts, because through the Lord they had gifted the king a throne and a refrigerator. The king had summoned both of them, though it wasn't forced. Takumi could refuse if he wished, but turning down a royal invitation just wasn't proper. Judging by PPC's expression, Takumi's heart softened, and he agreed to go. That evening, he reported everything back to the 3 family members. Soon, they would journey to the royal capital. The king had fiercely protected them already, so they should meet him to express thanks properly. Sophia and Maria naturally agreed it was their first time visiting the capital, and they were excited. The wait would be about a week, so they prepared everything needed to protect themselves. The trip to the capital took quite some time. Even with a demon carriage, it would take 3 days. Maria knew this, so she planned to buy lots of food tomorrow to stock up. Meanwhile, Takumi promised, so it was decided to meet that person and express gratitude. Of course, Sophia and Maria agreed enthusiastically. This was their first time visiting the capital city, and excitement bubbled within them. The wait would be about a week, so they prepared everything necessary to protect themselves. The journey to the capital was time-consuming. Even with a demon carriage, it took 3 days. Maria, aware of this, planned to buy plenty of food the next day to stock up. Meanwhile, Takumi promised to craft new cloaks for them. Earlier, he had asked PPC to gather some dark element mana stones, which would enhance the cloak's power, imbued with shadow essence, allowing the user to veil their presence from looming dangers. Sophia thought that was absolutely amazing. Takumi had already considered this. Not only does it hide you from malicious eyes, but it also helps evade monsters. The next day, the siblings went to the market, sharing thoughts about their master's tendency to underestimate himself. Sophia admitted aside from being good-looking, he possessed many other talents. Seeing Sophia praise him so much, Maria guessed maybe she had fallen in love. The girl blushed, saying she was just listing his amazing qualities, nothing more. Yet Maria, ever perceptive, sensed the scent of romance in the air. At that moment, men appeared greeting them and inquiring about their offerings. None were seen. She already knew about their trip to the capital and asked if they sought blessings. But some questions lingered. The Holy Light Church worships An-At. Was this deity the same as men? Nolin showed annoyance. "Call me the only goddess here," she snapped. "And that name, one day you'll understand." Takumi was curious, but accepted her words. She continued about the Empire of Sidonia's encroaching threat. During their last meeting, Nolan warned that depending on one's actions, blessings may fade. Could upcoming trouble stem from losing her protection? Nolan declared, "That's beyond blessing's scope." "I'm still shielding em." Takumi spoke of the summoned heroes called by the Empire. If they'd arrived, surely there'd be uproar. But no news yet. Nolan smiled. "I actually brought men here a year early to adjust to the timeline. Time seems scrambled, but unaffected. Sidonia will announce the heroes soon." He wondered why she'd go through the trouble. She dodged the question, claiming she was out of time as if she'd just dropped by. In the end, Takumi was pushed back to reality, reminded to bring offerings next time. "Cakes and sweets, please." Cut to the trio on the other side, still grinding hard now, with a personal trainer always flattering to boost morale. Akan remained indifferent, while the young man found the praise grating. Back to M, who finished 2 new cloak designs. Takumi immediately took one from her. Sophia felt it was a bit disrespectful, wondering if Maria disliked it. Maria was thrilled, reassuring the youth that they looked great. No need for fuss just because they shared cloak styles. Besides the 2 cloaks, they planned a wagon to ease travel. For long journeys, better to have their own instead of borrowing. They'd also hunt for good horses. Maria chuckled, explaining why Botan was called the Adventurer's City. The youth admitted it was the first time he'd heard this, feeling sheepish. Turning back, the younger sister revealed the city was close to the Death Forest, home to many monsters. Among them were horses faster and stronger than usual. Maria suggested catching one instead of borrowing. Their target, a dragon horse or unicorn. Takumi agreed to let the girls try. He asked how fast the dragon horse was compared to a demon horse. Twice as fast in both speed and strength. So if caught, travel time would shrink. Though called dragon, it's not from the dragon family, just scales and horns. Ahead, Fong urged everyone to hurry. She was eager to hunt, expecting monster minions soon. Suddenly, a wolf dashed by, startling Sophia. Takumi proudly said the cloak. Curious about speed, he asked how the dragon horse compares to the demon steed. It's twice as fast, both in pulling power and speed. So catching one would save a lot of travel time. Though called a dragon horse, it's not a true dragon. This creature only has scales and horns, which is why people gave it that name. Fong led the group, urging everyone to quicken their pace. Little one was eager for the hunt, thinking a new batch of monsters was near. Suddenly, a wolf darted past, startling Sophia. Takumi proudly revealed the cloak's power. It tricks even the keenest canine noses, so they could feel safe. Sophia was delighted, but took off her cloak knowing training demanded bearskin. Playing it safe won't carve the path to progress. Maria nodded in agreement, leaving their rivals stunned. The first foe, Sophia defeated a wild boar that attacked Takumi. With a single strike, she felled the beast's true skill unveiled. Maria seized the moment, gathering fresh meat for their stores. But Bee's frustration simmered, everyone wasting precious time. Nearby, a sheep stumbled, beckoning Takumi's attention. He joined in collecting materials vital for their cart's craft. The trio split each chasing their task, while Fong's temper flared, he stormed off in frustration. Along the path, Fong spotted felled trees, signs of a recent struggle. Following his instincts, he found a heavily wounded dragon horse. His heart ached, he wanted to help, but the creature struck first. To the dragon horse, Fong was a looming threat. He remembered the owner's early words that this beast had a great master. There was hope for healing. Suddenly, a swarm of giant ants appeared, threatening all. These were clearly the culprits who wounded the dragon horse. Fong fought back, weaving silken threads as traps. 2 ants crashed to the ground, falling to the horse's defense. Just as Fong planned to flee for the master's aid, the entire ant swarm encircled him. Quickly, he conjured a silk barrier, a dark shield, but ants with jaws like steel began gnawing away. His cries echoed to the master, but the signal was lost. Was the master distracted, lost beneath a distant tree? The dragon horse weakened, slipping into unconsciousness. It seemed doomed to become ant prey. Bee wept, calling the master a fool before rushing to her friend. Just when hope seemed lost, men arrived gently, stroking the dragon horse's head. Though her voice still carried to her master, the signal mysteriously cut out. Saddened, she wondered if he was distracted by the tree nearby, forgetting her. The dragon horse weakened, slipping into a coma, accepting fate as prey for ants. The little spider cried out, furious, scolding its master as a fool, then rushing to embrace its new friend. Just when all seemed lost, men appeared gently, patting heads. Fong was overjoyed, immediately hugging men, praising her excellent effort. The monsters were defeated by those 2 girls. The little one scolded men for not responding despite calls for help. Men apologized and explained that her silk could block powerful magic. When the magical link weakened, Takumi hurried to find her. Following the trail led right here, showing her fear. Within the house, Min also cherished Fong the most. Because of his evolution, his hair turned white just like mine. Maria also asked Min to do something to save that dragon horse and save effort chasing after it. Even Bei is patient, since they consider it a friend. Takumi immediately began treatment, but unexpectedly, even in a coma, the dragon horse resisted the magic. It's wary of the things around it. On top of that, monsters are closing in. So Sophia urged the coma to hurry. Fong refused to leave his friend behind. Takumi had no choice but to bring both inside a private space. This was good, but came with unforeseen consequences, because it drained too much magical power. Fong, having formed a contract, was somewhat stable, but the dragon horse hadn't yet, so its body faced serious issues. He immediately lost consciousness. Staff carried him away, and he lay asleep for half a day, still showing no signs of waking. Sophia thought this was natural, because the coma was still sustaining the space. Normally, Fong would come in and out, but this time perhaps he hadn't been called. With no other options, Sophia used her power to summon the 2 out, lest the coma's magic be drained to death. Bei, hearing the call, knew the horse friend was still very scared. She informed them of the situation outside, suggesting the 2 go out. She thought if Fong created a circular cocoon like in the forest, it might calm the dragon horse's fears. Sophia then rushed out to buy some healing herbs. Maria insisted on going instead, saying, "Leave the small tasks to me." She wanted her sister to stay with their master until he woke and perhaps gently push their budding relationship forward. Later, Takumi felt warmth from everyone, and suddenly woke seeing Sophia lying beside him. He realized they'd all tried so hard for him. After recovering his magic, Min approached the dragon horse. Fong stood by as a bridge to calm the horse. The horse summoned his will to make a friend and was accepted. Once linked, healing became effortless. The dragon horse fully recovered, bringing joy to the whole family. This would be their new teammate. Takumi named him Subak. Now, Fong had a monster friend, What joy Maria also prepared delicious food to welcome the new member. Cut to a slave market in the capital where a beast tribe girl skilled in magic was up for sale. However, the buyer wasn't interested in purchasing. The girl pleaded, promising to study harder, to become more useful, but the buyer wanted a slave who was immediately useful. If she couldn't meet the conditions, then forget it. Viva was comforted, told she'd find a master soon enough. But those words were said years ago, making her quite sad. She remembered living here with her sister, until one day the sister was brought away, leaving Viva all alone. Their family was poor, and this was the only way to support the rest. Viva was cared for by their mother, but since then her sister never returned. Meanwhile, Takumi was busy crafting a horse carriage to head to the capital. Arya and Sophia, knowing their master would visit Gambo's place, felt worried. Besides the carriage, they had to make hooves for Shaki to travel long distances. Takumi had just taken on a mountain of work, pushing himself to the limit, definitely not healthy. Seeing their concern, Min assured them, "I'm fine, I won't overdo it. Don't worry." Later, Min arrived at the guild to find a commotion. Asking around, he learnt someone spotted a monster near the outskirts. The info was vague, so the guild was verifying. They showed Takumi a drawing of the mysterious entity. Thankfully, no damage had been done yet. When asked why he came today, Min said he wanted to register a new pet. Fong and Shaki poked their heads out, startling Han. Han nearly jumped. Weren't these the rumoured monsters? Turns out the little girl often rides her friends around, which sparked the rumours. The guildmaster had to call Takumi. Inside, for a serious talk, things weren't looking good. Outside, Sophia worried about finding new help for their master. Details remain unclear, so the guild is trying to confirm. They also showed Takumi sketches resembling a mysterious entity. Thankfully, no damage yet. When asked why he came today, Min said he wanted to register a new pet. Fong and Shaki peeked out, startling Han, who nearly jumped out of his skin. This wasn't a monster. Rumours were swirling. Apparently, the little sibling frequently rode this friend around, fueling the gossip. The guildmaster had to call Takumi in for a serious talk, as this situation was unstable. Outside, Sophia worried deeply about finding new support for her master. Previously, she asked Mrs. M about slaves skilled in black alchemy, but none were available here. It's possible other guilds in the capital might have some, so she planned to send them a message. Sophia decided to reach out and see what they could find. Seeing her change this much, this friend, it's truly a joy. Entrusting her to me was the right call. Maria just went out to buy groceries. Lately, their master has been overworking, so my sister wants to pack in as much nutrition as possible. Every time that young man steps into the workshop, he focuses only on production, ignoring his own body. They must find a way to ease his burden, though. They only help with small chores. If only we could find another alchemist, that would be ideal. I think once I return, I'll help my sister cook, but she refuses. If I get involved, it'd be a disaster. Even the elf admits she's only good at fighting. My sister says I've changed because I wouldn't have acted this way before. After stopping by the blacksmith shop, I found him fast asleep. Gambo said he was so focused on work that he didn't want to stop. Probably because he worked non-stop for days without sleep, he finally collapsed like that. It's rare to see someone so passionate about crafting. That scene gave him fresh motivation, but we had to warn him, if he keeps this up, a stroke is inevitable. The next day, the self-made carriage was finished, bringing pure joy to the young man. He wanted Shaki to pull it, so Fong relayed the message. The dragon horse agreed, since this was the only way he could help. The two girls admired the carriage, calling it the most amazing thing they'd ever seen. From outside, it looked like any carriage, but inside it was a spacious home full of comforts. Takumi explained he used space expansion magic, which explained why crafting took so long. Normally, it would have only taken a day. Maria was thrilled because inside this carriage, no one would worry about job shortages. Also, the little one was the reins holder, guiding Subak perfectly along the road. Its speed was like the wind itself. No wonder Fong and friends went out to play. Subak was blazing fast on the right path like the wind itself. No wonder Fong and his new friends headed out daily to play along. The ride was rough, but sitting inside Maria seemed distracted. When asked, she admitted she wanted to add, so she can slay monsters while running. Takumi thinks it's clever, but too risky, too dangerous for passers-by, so he lets it go. Subi's stats have surged after just a few days on the road. His growth this journey has been impressive. Men's has hired familiar faces to escort him safely. The brothers from the Lion Fang team are thrilled to take on this mission. Meanwhile, the Lord's carriage and Oppen's entourage have arrived, all eyes drawn to the dragon horse Men's recently tamed. This steed, mastered by Men's, will carry them to the capital. Takumi hopes the Lord will look kindly upon them, for Men's burden is heavy. Both wish to explore inside the carriage, curious about what Oppen has prepared. But chaos erupts when the Lord exclaims, "Isn't this a house on wheels? Did Men's craft it himself?" Men's recalls the expert smith's techniques and advice. By all accounts, this is a masterpiece. The Lord, amazed, pounds the carriage once to steady himself, admitting, "This is the finest carriage in existence. Whoever owns one like this is truly lucky." The Lord hints at a reward 100 platinum coins if Men's can build another. The sum converts to a staggering 1 billion yen. No joke. That's insane. So the group moves forward to the capital aboard the Lord's carriage. They talk about Takumi's many contributions to the kingdom. His growth is only just beginning. Men's role will help the kingdom flourish. Yet the looming threat named Sidonia still eyes Takumi hungrily. Talent often attracts calamity, so they must protect Men's from the shadows. Internal dangers are one thing. Outsiders bring a whole new level of peril. Cut to Arn, who's now uncovering secrets about the goddess Anath. According to the ancient texts, she created humans from her imagination, and from that original mold all other species were born. In this world, humans stand atop the hierarchy, while beasts and beastmen serve beneath. The next day, Men's group arrives at the capital Bikalat. Thankfully, no dangers threaten them en route. Monsters appear occasionally, but Sophia and Maria dispatch them with ease. Beasts like Fong and Shaki, terrifyingly strong on their own, already intimidate other monsters. Though they escort the group, the three barely lift a finger. Upon reaching the inn, Oppen discusses presenting a similar carriage as a gift to the king. The Lord agrees this is a perfect way to showcase skill and strength. The royal audience is set for 5 days later. Takumi assures Men's he can finish in time, since he already has the blueprints and experience. The key is finding a spacious workshop and materials. Oppen laughs confidently, promising to prepare all. That evening, Men's tells the ladies they'll visit the Craftsman's Guild tomorrow. Sophia knows the guildmaster Batten from Mullen's stories. The workshop has ample space and materials perfect for their work. Sophia insists on recruiting help since the journey wore her out. Men's protests he's not tired, but she's firm. Since they're at the guild, why not ask if anyone fits their needs? Mera agrees, so they do. But the ladies add a catch: the helper must be female, leaving Men's speechless. Life's tough enough without picky demands. Next day, Men's requests assistance. And they're introduced to Dua. Outside, Maria notices Fong is missing, so she asks her sister to help find him. They run into Jiva, who was nearly scared to death by Men's little spider beast. Sophia scolds Fong for wandering off, but he apologizes to Jiva. Jiva seems sweet, and Fong is gentle with her. She's reading ancient tomes. Turns out this place even sells magical books, and Jiva is self-studying alchemy. Later, they meet officially to introduce themselves. Only a woman could leave him utterly speechless, as if her heart had silently spoken volumes. Guy was already struggling, yet she still picked and chose the next day. Then, when asked to find someone who could assist in production, she was introduced to Dua. Outside, Maria couldn't spot Fong anywhere. Luckily, her sister helped search and found Tinku. There they met Jiva, a young girl terrified by Main Spider. The spider's sudden threat made Sophia yell at Fong, scolding him for wandering off without permission. Fong apologized sincerely, while the younger sister reassured, "You know, Fong's really well behaved. She was reading an ancient book when she asked about it, discovering this place even sold spell books." Jeva was self-studying alchemy here. Later, both sides officially met to introduce themselves. Sophia was thrilled especially since the candidate was this very young sister. Men listed demands beyond production. She also wanted Jiva to take on the role of a fake adventurer. Her family would face hunger. When Takumi revealed he needed someone skilled in alchemy, the quiet Jiva hesitated, lacking confidence. Sophia stepped in for her, praising her talents, how she taught herself magic after finding a spark of brilliance. As they reached the middle point, Jiva began opening up, gaining courage to speak with Takumi. Her deep understanding of the craft shone through. At the final step, Takumi showed her a complex diagram to decode. At a glance, Jeva guessed it resembled a magic circle forming a twisted candy spiral, but uncertainty gnawed at her fear of rejection loomed. When tears welled up, Mind smiled warmly, offering her a place on the team, because Dua's answer was spot on. Recognizing such a design at a glance meant she was truly talented. Jeva's heart stirred. Finally, she found her master. After sealing the contract, she wished Takumi would send all her wages home. Her homeland was poor, and that's why she chose to be a slave to support her family. Sophia believed that following Takumi would allow her to earn her own money through alchemy someday, and if she had to serve a master like him forever, she was willing. Outside, Maria and Fong greeted the new member warmly, putting Jeva's mind at ease. These were good people. Cut to the Empire after learning the kingdom's stance hadn't changed. They planned to use force to capture Takumi. But the daughter thought it best to avoid violence for now, trusting the power of religion instead. By spreading the word about the blasphemer against the Holy Church, believers would rise in wrath and find Takumi's hiding place. Meanwhile, Takumi was busy crafting the frame of a carriage from precious materials. Viva witnessed this with awe. The adamantine alloy Takumi forged was shaped with intricate detail. Its basic structure mirrored the twisted candy spiral, nothing monstrous, just elegantly complex. Soon, Jeva would be able to use magic circles to create such wonders. Yet she doubted herself, so she asked Takumi if she truly could. He assured her, if this is true, Takumi was certain it was possible because she possessed the most crucial trait of an alchemist, the eyes. Her eyes always glowed radiantly, especially when she crafted something. Jeva was truly remarkable. To help the little one adapt slowly, Takumi began teaching how to make individual parts of the carriage. Seeing this, Sophia was overjoyed, her owner finally sharing the burden. The next day, the carriage was completed perfectly. An old man appeared, asking if this was a product I made myself. I explained it was a gift for His Majesty the King. Hearing this, he praised me, said I was even more incredible than the rumours. Before I could fully grasp the moment, the Lord and a friend rushed over, calling the man before us. Your Majesty, shocking me, yet I'd been speaking as if to any stranger. The king was easygoing, saying no need for formalities, since this wasn't an official meeting. They asked why he didn't wait inside, explaining that an informal meeting like this felt more natural and relaxed. Parading with guards would only instill fear, making things stiff. Most importantly, it would be boring. Besides, His Majesty wanted to meet the gifted alchemist to personally thank him. Thanks to his inventions, the wastewater problem in the capital was solved. Seeing the king bow to me, Takumi blushed, reluctant to accept. Usually, the king would host a grand feast, but such events might reveal my identity to villains. I thanked the king for protecting me from the sinister Sidonia forces. Protecting his people is the duty of men like him. I silently thanked both the king and lord for their goodness. After receiving rewards, they left the castle immediately, avoiding lingering. The king was in good spirits, not wanting to meet anyone else today. They feared my identity might leak, so they ordered to act like the meeting never happened. Yet the more I grew, the greater my influence, which worried the king deeply. If my identity was discovered, the Holy Light Church would never let it slide. Days after returning from the capital, Takumi immediately bought the house we lived in from Mr. T PPC. Thanks to the money earned selling products, this place officially became ours. As for Sophia and Mary's wages, they refused them, living comfortably these months. They only asked for a little spending money. River was surprised they were so humble. Takumi thought they should at least save something for after their contract with me ends. Sophia said as an elf she could live a long life and vowed to protect me till the end. Mary felt the same. If she lived long, she wanted to be buried beside me. I was speechless at such a bold wish. Scene shifts to Sidonia Empire's side. After investigating the wastewater purification magic in Bosun, they brought back results identifying Elizabeth. She's a repulsive heretic mage. The goddess Anas will surely be furious. The Emperor and Church are troubled by this. As planned, many in the Holy Light Church want to immediately annihilate the source of these evils. Orders were given no forgiveness for those who blaspheme the Pope and Anas. The next day, Dua asked her master to register her as an adventurer, just like everyone else in the household. This brought many benefits, helping the alchemist and boosting stats and mana. We agreed and quickly took her to register. Han also made her a card right away, which Juvar appreciated deeply. The guild even helped send money home cheaply, since many others like her existed. It was routine. By the way, she asked Takumi to name their team. Besides the newcomer, all members were rank D. How could such a team go nameless, judging by skill and strength? We were the best group here. Alchemy not only boosts stats, but also amplifies magical power. They agreed with this idea immediately, so they quickly took the girl to register her. Han even made her an ID card on the spot, which Jiva deeply appreciated. Besides, this place also helped send money home cheaply. In truth, many others were like her, so this was just a small matter. By the way, he asked Takumi to name their team. Except for the new girl who just joined, all members were still at D rank. How could such a team have a proper name? Based on their skills and strength, they were rated as the strongest group here. He asked if the team's name was like Lionfang, but in reality, they weren't serious about becoming adventurers. They just registered to improve their skills day by day. They lacked the pure fighting ability, wishing only they could fight better. Hearing this, the guild leader immediately appeared confidently saying, "Leave that to me." He believed deeply in his training skills and promised to teach them how to fight. And so, Takumi was relentlessly thrown to the ground repeatedly, fighting while being pushed to think of a name for their team. His sister watched anxiously from the sidelines, worried he might break a bone. Naming the team was no trivial matter. It symbolized the very existence of its members. So, a silly name was out of the question. When someone jokingly suggested Throne's dad's toilet, it was immediately shot down. The name alone made them want to run to the bathroom. Takumi sighed, thinking, why does the path of an alchemist have to be so thorny? After the grueling training, he returned looking like a wreck, making his wife Sophia furious. He mentioned the team naming again, asking for their help, since refusing meant enduring more beatings from the old man. Too short a name wouldn't do nor a long one. When they asked the elf for ideas, she exploded furious that the miserable old man had dragged Takumi into this mess. She even thought about chopping off his head, but Takumi stopped her, reminding her it was just training. Despite everything he learned, a few things gaining levels and skills along the way. Hearing this, Sophia finally relented. Meanwhile, back at the Empire, the summoned heroes were pushing themselves daily to improve. One young man looked down on teammates who only moved forward, never knowing when to step back. When asked about himself, he admitted being a hero. He said both he and Yamato were called heroes, but he had refused to train, preferring to play alone. She suspected he was spoiling the young slave girl, like when they were summoned before. Watching his teammates only push forward without retreat, the young man showed disdain, because that's just reckless. Akan asked how he saw himself, and he claimed to be a warrior. She said that both she and Yamato were called the same, yet he even tried to skip training to play alone. But he was refused. The young man thought that the girl cared for that little slave, which wasn't much different from when he was summoned before Air, and thought silently about his current self. It was unfortunate. After returning to her room, she continued to dig deeper into the secrets of the Holy Church. They were zealots devoted beyond reason, believing themselves superior, born from Anas, standing above all other races. Yet before this, Min was told by a seasoned merchant who travelled around the world that the constructive church believes all races are children of the goddess Nolan. The three of them were summoned here, so Aiken wonders what his true role is and how they intend to exploit the strength of warriors like him, all in the name of peace. Meanwhile, Min has just crafted another magic ring and immediately handed it to Jeva. Her main weapon is a staff wrapped in midden alloy for durability. Fong feels a twinge of envy. Everyone's got their own weapon now. Hearing this, Takumi pulls out a claw set for her to use. Since her fighting style leans towards finesse, she needs short weapons to avoid getting tangled up. Later, the whole crew heads to practice at the training grounds. Takumi keeps taking hits, worried Sophia might lose it, but instead she points out all the gaps in his defense. Fong's mistakes are plenty, and the old master knows just how to exploit those weaknesses. After training, Ha asks Min if he's ready for a new mission. If he completes it, he'll get promoted immediately. Min wonders how long it'll take. He's not exactly free. Calculations say, with the dragon steed there and back, will only take 4 days. He thought an escort mission with the Fang Brotherhood would be better, but his brother says they're on another job, so they ask the 3 girls instead. Their excitement is off the charts. With these expressions, Min has no choice but to accept. Soon after they depart, making Fong and Shaki happy, since they get to go on a mini-adventure. The Old Master requests the mission for the Merchant Guild, who feel reassured with Min as their escort. This trip mainly aims to restock milk supplies, which surprises Min, since milk is rare in Botan. The journey began sparking joy in Fong and Shaki, who were thrilled to be out for a change. When the Elder made the request, the guild members felt reassured to have him escorting them. This trip was mainly to restock on milk, which surprised MH, as milk was somewhat rare in Botan. But other places offered dairy products like cheese, and upon hearing this, they knew they had to add these to their menu. Along the way, they spotted 2 monster packs clashing. The little spider, with help from a horse friend, wiped them out using the devastating Thunderstrike. Subak crushed them all. Watching this one, thought no beast would dare attack their carriage now. After reaching the town, they savoured delicious foods, whose flavours brought Takumi waves of nostalgia. He vowed to buy milk and cheese on the way back. That night, with new ingredients, Min baked bread. Sipping warm milk made him long for his old world. He also asked if rice was available. Sophia said in the Samand Kingdom yes, but harder to find near them. Takumi feigned curiosity about rice, asking if Sophia missed her homeland after so many years. She replied she was content with her current life. Before cursed and trapped like a bird in a cage, being accepted by Takumi was like receiving wings, allowing her to soar freely in this new life. Sophia chose not to dwell on the past, focusing only on the present and moving forward. The other girls felt the same, as if their dreams had been given wings. Suddenly, Takumi thought of a great name for their main team. The ones who gave Min his new life, they would be the Wings of Nolan. Everyone agreed, sealing the name. 2 days later, after completing their escort mission, they were ambushed as they entered the city. The 3 girls were quickly subdued by a paralyzing poison. Fortunately, when the attackers tried to strike Fong, he countered, swiftly helped by an item from his space pouch, defeating them with ease. He silently thanked his training from days before. After curing everyone, Sophia apologized for her lapse. Thankfully, both he and Fong were immune to the poison. The little spider revealed traps around the house were massive, so Min asked the elf to call Bark for help. After capturing 2 attackers, Bark advised Min to report this to the Lord immediately, as the situation was far more serious than expected. By the next morning, Min was summoned to the Lord's chamber. Having received help, she immediately counterattacked, taking them down easily. She thought, thank goodness I was taught how to fight a few days ago. After curing everyone's poison, Sophia apologized for being careless. Luckily, she and the spider were immune to the poison. Additionally, the little spider informed them that the traps set around the house were quite large. Thus, Min asked the elf to call Mr. Bark for assistance. After capturing the 2, Mr. Bark advised Min to report this incident to the Lord immediately, as the situation was more serious than they thought. The case was reported to the Lord immediately, because the situation was far more serious than anyone thought. By morning, Men was summoned to the Lord's chambers to discuss the coming challenges. The attackers belonged to the Divine Might, squad the enemies a team tasked with purging anyone who defies the Holy Radiance Church's creed. In short, this squad follows the strictest order, a force far more serious than those common attackers. They were sent by the Sidonia Empire, and when Takumi heard this shock hit him hard, he had thought this was just a petty robbery at first. The core of this incident was a purification spell Men once invented used to cleanse sediment from underground pipes. It requires light magic to purify. Priests from the Creation Church and Holy Radiance take turns performing this ritual. While the Nolan worship faction only charges a small fee, the opposing side demands a hefty price. To them, Men is a blockade cutting into their profits. When asked if he should move elsewhere, the Lord thought Botan was still safer. Everyone here knows Takumi's abilities, so they'll pour their strength into protecting him. Plus, this land has many followers of the Creation Church, meaning they can offer support when needed. The Knights will bolster defences while Lord Bark handles security. Though men risked danger as an adventurer in this situation, all activities should pause. But he refuses to stop. He's one of the top 5 squads here. If he rests, the guild faces chaos. Sophia vows to protect her master with her life. She's been trained in combat, so that's a relief. If you're still confused, just come to my place to train like before. On the way back, Takumi's mind races, haunted by the Holy Radiance Church targeting him. He fears his household girls will get dragged into danger. Last night, they barely escaped death's shadow. After reaching the guild to name their squad Master, Han admires Takumi especially for naming it after the goddess herself. He also warns men about other adventurers. The news of Takumi's attack has spread far. His bounty is huge now, so caution is vital. The Lord, a devotee of the goddess, took a liking to Min, but warned him of other adventurers' dangers. News of Min's attack spread swiftly with a hefty bounty placed on his head. Caution was paramount. There were those willing to abandon all morals for gold. That night, Min seriously discussed this with Maria and Jiva, knowing the attackers would return. They prepared for the inevitable. The attackers aren't done yet. They'll strike again. I have to apologize. They've only targeted me, but unfortunately it's dragged everyone else in. Sophia and Maria thought it was our negligence yesterday, so from now on, we'll heighten our awareness of everything around us. Fuang and Subak are one thing, but constantly having knights protect us is a hassle. So he's thinking of creating a magical guardian that can shield the base by forming a barrier blocking anyone not authorized from entering. Rava heard this and promised to help. So that problem is now solved. As for adventuring and missions with the guild, Sophia advises recruiting an attacker or tank to support the front line. Mr. Bark and Han agree with this plan, but the 3 girls refuse to bring men onto the team, making the selection process tough. Sophia thinks some adventurers operate solo, so recruiting someone to join immediately is tricky. She plans to visit Mrs. Mullen to see if any slaves meet the criteria. That night they slept peacefully, guarded by knights around the house. The elf girl noticed Min wasn't sleeping but was tirelessly researching until dawn. The formula was completed, so he let Jiva start. After that, Sophia went to request support, saying she needed to learn more about magical artifacts. That night they finally rested easy with knights guarding the house. The elf noticed Min was awake, deeply engrossed in research until dawn. His formula was complete and he felt ready. Meanwhile, the little spider and foal practiced combat techniques, making it clear the big golem was the ideal training partner. Because this thing is sturdy and safe, it's perfect as a training dummy. Java realized golems fall under Alchemy's domain. Takumi confirmed this, but inscribing magic arrays into control cores is incredibly difficult. He thought if they could tame a golem as a frontline attacker, that would be absolutely amazing. But at their current level, creating one from scratch isn't possible. So Takumi began enchanting 3 metal plates, which when placed around the mansion would form a protective barrier. He also gained a new skill through crafting this barrier. He wondered, once mastering this art, could he tame a golem after all? Cut to the Empire's side, they received news that the God's Might team was captured. Normally, they'd commit suicide on the spot, but being defeated stopped them from doing so. Clearly, the attackers knew this came from the Holy Light Church's followers. A woman advised the Lord to pause this mission and focus on upcoming plans instead. Earlier, the enemy found a magic array in the ruins, but couldn't decode it. They only knew activating it would trigger some unknown effect. The Emperor asked when the ritual could be performed. The man said it would take at least 2 months to gather enough magical energy. Meanwhile, Takumi is learning to control golems. He tried with magic stones, but it's far from easy. Fong asked why he needed golems. Takumi explained they're for guarding their small base. With just a few of them, it's enough. He said, like last time, bad guys might sneak in any time. She asked why not just tame a golem quickly. Takumi agreed it made sense, so they discussed the idea with Sophia. She mentioned wildstone golems sometimes appear in the Death Forest to the west, while metal golems show up in the ancient dungeons. Takumi was surprised he'd never been to those dungeons. So, he took this chance to search for one. Sophia warned the dungeons are dangerous, and they'd need frontline warriors to maximize combat potential. But the household's members are all light fighters, big monsters would wipe them out instantly. Meanwhile, the gathering of new mana was accomplished. Takumi was learning to control golems. Though he tried with mana stones, it proved far from simple. Little Fong asked why golems were needed. Takumi explained it was to protect their small base. With just himself and a few others, that was enough. He added, as before, enemies could strike any time. The girl asked why not just tame golems quickly. Takumi agreed and discussed it with Sophia. She said wild stone golems sometimes appeared in the Death Forest to the west, and metal golems could be found in the ancient dungeons. Takumi was surprised he'd never been to those dungeons. Now was the perfect chance to seek one out. The wilds still held an ancient dungeon where metal golems appeared. Upon hearing this, Takumi was quite surprised, as he had never been to a dungeon before, so he wanted to take this opportunity to find one. Aware of the situation, they seized this chance to try and hunt a beast. Sophia called the dungeon a deadly place where at least a frontline warrior is needed so they can unleash their full fighting potential. Members of this family are all more like lightweight fighters once they meet a strong, big monster. It's basically game over. So the chosen spot is the western edge of the Death Forest, where, sure enough, a stone golem that knows how to fight appears. Judging by its size, they believe they must be incredibly lucky to have stumbled upon it. It must be a guardian of the ruins, and to defeat it, they need to aim for the magic core embedded in its chest. This core is the very heart controlling the golem. However, if it's destroyed, the creature itself will perish as well. Takumi has no intention of doing that. Suddenly, they're discovered by the golem, sending a wave of panic through the group. Sophia senses the danger immediately. She advises the young master to skip this one and find a more manageable creature. But men insist that only something like this can become a trustworthy ally. Without hesitation, he leaps down, causing the girls to worry. Sophia runs after him, but is stopped by men who prevents her from attacking the golem. It turns out the golem shares some connection with him, so it doesn't attack at all. Watching this, the girls praise men calling him brave, though in reality he's just scared out of his mind. Looking closely at the golem, Takumi realizes it's guarding ruins related to the goddess Nolan, and Men himself is her disciple. After a tense moment, Takumi manages to tame the creature, leaving the girls astonished. Proud and happy, Fong knows this will be his new subordinate. With Subak's magical power, they move forward. Takumi also gives his new ally a name Titan, a name reserved for giants in legends. Though Titan can't speak yet, it asks men to create a versatile body for it. Its massive size prevents it from entering the city, so it shrinks itself to fit in with everyone. Fong finds this adorable. Thanks to its master, Titan communicates through Men's help. Men agrees, but they'll need to explore this further. The scene shifts to the warriors who have completed their training. 2 of them defeated all the sword-wielding opponents alone, earning respect and a bit of arrogance. After training, they go out to party, much to Akan's displeasure. He asks them if they feel no shame, only to be invited to join the fun. They scold him, calling him a hopeless relic, then move on to another place. The next day, Takumi's imagination soars, feeling embarrassed. Well, after being hit on by the younger girl, they scolded them, calling them nothing but trash. They left to another place. The next day, Takumi's imagination flew far as he worked to create an ultra-cool armor for Little Titan. Essential to this design was the fusion function. After finishing the blueprints, he went to clarify the current situation with the 3 girls because, since they were being targeted, staying with him would be too dangerous. So he wanted to cancel the contract and set everyone free, believing that once they left, they would no longer be hunted. Sophia reacted, asking when he had started considering this. Takumi replied that after being attacked, he feared dragging everyone into danger. This was his way to protect them. But the 3 girls disagreed. Fong and Subak, being tamed beast spirits, chose to stay with their new master. Plus, there was also Titan, so they felt reassured. He wanted the 3 of them to live safely with the large sum of money he gave. But Sophia still couldn't accept this. Maria stepped forward to challenge, saying, "If you want to cancel the contract, you have to defeat me first." She asked why their master always put them first, calling him a fool for chasing everyone away when they were so happy. At this moment, tears welled up in everyone's eyes, so they bowed their heads to hide their shame. To him, everyone was precious, and losing them was unthinkable. Maria begged to stay by his side to overcome hardships together. They were the wings of Nolan, and without any of them, the family could no longer soar. Sophia understood that Men was worried about them, but she also hoped Takumi would realize how cruel his words were to them. Hearing this, Min finally understood and apologized for not grasping everyone's feelings. Then, he asked if they would be willing to stay with someone immature like him to fight together. Everyone agreed, saying their hearts and bodies already belonged to Men, and they would live and die with him never wanting to part no matter what happened. The next day, Titan's new armor was completed. It covered the golem's fatal weakness. Moreover, it could now speak and seemed joyful. This new body was forged from adamantine and myrin alloy, making it incredibly durable. The weapons included a shield and a heavy mace. The most anticipated feature was the giant Titan version. Instantly, it crawled inside to merge. Takumi was so happy he cried. Even the goddess friend, watching this, was at a loss. Men's subordinate came to report that signs of Anis's hidden existence had begun to appear. But since they couldn't intervene, Nolan had to rely completely on Takumi. Anis was born from the faith of the Holy Light Church and was even more dangerous, as she seemed to be turning into a dark spirit. There were fears that the Empire would soon launch a war across the entire realm. The scene shifts to an abandoned town near Boston, where a massive migration was underway. Many had died and the land could no longer sustain them, so they had no choice but to leave. This caused great anxiety since no one knew what to do next. Previously, the village economy had collapsed because of the nobles, and now, when rescue was impossible, they had to abandon it, while the wealthy nobles simply moved to another country. Everyone silently vowed never to trust the nobles again. The poor villagers were accepted by the Lord, and they all resented the nobles, who had pushed them into such a grim fate. But the priority now was finding a solution, as anger alone couldn't help. With over 1,000 people, a large land was needed. The Lord thought of a suitable place, but monsters were rampant, making development very difficult. With no other option, they sought help from Takumi. Meanwhile, Men announced plans to conquer a dungeon, once the team had all necessary elements. This wouldn't be too hard. They chose a dungeon near the city rated as an A-level danger. Below was a strange space deep underground, yet with a sky and forest. Monsters here were numerous and powerful, but with everyone's fighting strength, they easily defeated them all. Thanks to Fong's monster detection skills, before the monsters could approach, Takumi had everyone ready. Titans specialized in blocking attacks from giant monsters. With this, the group continuously defeated. Thanks to everyone's fighting, they easily defeated all the enemies. It was also thanks to Fong's monster detection skills that before the monsters could get close, Takumi had everyone ready to respond. Titans specialized in blocking attacks from massive monsters. With so many threats, the group continuously defeated bosses on each floor, earning rewards that filled their treasure hoard. In just one day, they reached the deepest level inside the dungeon. 2602 calculations said if they pressed on, they'd arrive at the final boss's chamber. Everyone was buzzing with excitement. Sophia thought, coming this far without a scratch, that's incredible. But just as she finished her sentence, Men stepped on a trap. Suddenly, a massive boulder appeared, frightening Takumi, who immediately shouted for everyone to flee. Yet everyone ended up falling down below. Little Fong asked the master, "Whoa, why didn't Titan block the boulder?" He explained, "I panicked and forgot. Plus Titan only follows my orders, so it didn't stop. It just ran after me. Having fallen into a different place, they had no choice but to take this path." At the end of the corridor, they entered the boss's room. There appeared the dungeon's final boss, a massive creature that made Maria and Jiva nearly faint. The elf assessed this beast as S-rank, deadly serious. Takumi thought, "We should have brought Titan's armor. That would have been smarter." And so, the battle ignited. The Earth Dragon's tail was a huge nuisance, giving the group no chance to attack. Men ordered Fong and Titan to hold the tail with the help of golem strength and ultra-sticky spider silk. This duo completed their mission flawlessly. Seizing the moment, Sophia lunged straight for the tail while others unleashed magic from afar. The dragon writhed in pain. They ordered Titan to use its ultimate move, but the dragon was not defeated. Instead, it spewed fire, knocking Titan away. Sophia instantly spotted its weak spot, its belly. Takumi opened the space pouch and sent Shaki into battle. Shaki charged with a devastating strike right at the dragon. Takumi prepared the finishing blow. He saw the dragon about to breathe fire and infused his sword with electric energy, then threw it straight into the beast's mouth. The final boss exploded in a dazzling burst. Among the fallen loot was a legendary treasure and a dragon scale. After conquering the dungeon, Subak evolved slightly, growing a bit bigger and gaining materials from the dragon. Takumi started thinking about crafting something once they returned from the dungeon. They then went to meet the Lord to discuss. He mentioned an unexplored land. Even the mighty dragon Takumi began to dream of creating something new. After returning from the dungeon, the idea sparked within him. He went to meet with the Lord to discuss the future. The Lord spoke of an untouched land lying to the south, crawling with monsters. Even neighbouring kingdoms dare not set foot there. It was known that this land rumours speak of untapped mineral mines still hidden beneath the earth. Takumi's curiosity was instantly piqued by such prospects. So the Lord himself stepped in, requesting their group to build a village here. He'd heard about the walls of the village Bo built in record time. This task was of utmost importance, so he called on Takumi's skills. Luckily, the area boasted rivers and streams perfect for settlement. Though Takumi felt uneasy asking for help while under threat, this was a desperate matter affecting thousands' safety. Sophia showed displeasure, but Takumi wanted to hear the full story. It turned out corrupt nobles had strangled the growth of a nearby village, leaving its people homeless and destitute. They had nowhere to turn, so the Lord wanted to create a sanctuary. Upon hearing this, Takumi immediately agreed. After all, he was once a refugee welcomed warmly by village Bo. Now he sought to repay that kindness. Arriving at the designated area, Takumi delegated tasks with ease. With his talent, he carved out beautiful roads and sturdy walls. The walls rose steadily, encircling the new home. Outside, they dug deep moats to keep monsters at bay. Thanks to Duva's help, the work became lighter for everyone. Others hunted monsters and harvested lumber for houses. In just days, the village took shape, a beacon of hope. Takumi then sent Sophia back to the city to request migration support. Subak escorted her swiftly to meet the Lord and share the progress. The Lord was amazed. Less than 10 days, and the refugees had a safe haven. Soon, escort troops led the displaced to their new home. At first, everyone was anxious. This was uncharted land. Whispers of being used as pawns against ruthless nobles haunted them. Would the past horrors repeat? When would peace finally arrive? The escorting soldiers were stunned. Before them stood not a mere village, but a fortress city, its walls worthy of a kingdom. Takumi welcomed everyone to this new land, while preparing the farm fields so settlers could immediately work. A soldier asked how such a city could rise so fast. Takumi explained it was to keep monsters at bay with sturdy walls. But the real question was, how did he build an entire city overnight? There was even a grand castle for governance and housing soldiers. It was truly a masterpiece. Takumi said the castle housed administrators to maintain order. The soldiers could stay and ensure security. The refugees moved into their new homes, still in disbelief. Among them was a girl named Mani who had lost everyone. Lonely and weary, she shared her story. Her husband had passed, and farming alone felt impossible. The elf Sophia suggested helping her find other work. To announce. He was utterly shocked, because in less than 10 days, they had ensured the survival of the refugees. Later, the escort team brought the residents to their new homes. Initially, they were concerned, knowing this was an uncharted area, fearing they were to be exploited. Additionally, the exploration was led by someone sent by the boss. They feared it might be a wicked noble exploiting them. All these thoughts made them wonder when peace would finally come. Outside, the escort soldiers were shocked to find was being led by someone sent by the boss. There was a fear it might be a wicked noble who would exploit everyone like pawns. A terrible life would rise again, and they wondered when peace would ever come. Outside, the escort soldiers were shocked upon arrival, for before their eyes stood not a simple village, but a full-fledged fortress. This was no mere hamlet. It had the stature of a city. Takumi then stepped forward, welcoming everyone to this new land as he stood ready to guide them. Preparing the farm so soon people could come and start working immediately. A soldier asked how everything worked, and men explained they were building a fortress wall to fend off monster attacks. But the soldier wanted to know how Takumi managed to build an entire city in such a short time. Besides, there was also a castle truly a masterpiece. Men explained that place was for the administrators, offering enough living space for the soldiers so his team could stay and support security efforts. The refugees were then moved to their new homes. No one could believe that from now on they could live in this place. Among them was a girl named Mani, who had lost all her family and felt utterly alone. She approached to ask around and learned her husband had passed away. Farming alone would be very tough. The elf suggested helping her find another job. Sophia promised to consult with the village founder to see if they could take her in. Mani knew how to cook and do other tasks, so that made things easier. Soon after they met and shared about her situation, Takumi agreed to hire her, easing Maria's burden. Salary and support details would be settled later, but in Mani's mind she kept recalling everyone's words that the nobles couldn't be trusted, and her late husband had to work so hard he fell ill. She thought Takumi was like that too, so she refused the offer, fearing she'd face despair again. The noble's deceased ancestor had to work hard and fell ill. She thought Takumi was that kind of person, so she declined the invitation, fearing she would face despair again and wouldn't be able to live anymore. Man also mentioned that he couldn't trust him yet. Man confessed she just couldn't bear to live like this anymore. She openly admitted she still couldn't put her trust in him. Suddenly, being gifted such a perfect new home, she felt it must have come with a heavy price. Min understood her pain deeply and chose not to push. So the offer was put on hold, waiting for the villagers' trust to bloom. Out in the open, Man feared her harsh words might have driven Temi away, so she chose to leave quietly, sparing others the burden. Yet deep down, she knew Min was different from the nobles. Before, she was just lashing out in grief after her husband's death. She left the village's edge, haunted by monsters targeting her. Takumi, meanwhile, was lost in thought, pondering the warnings from earlier. Fong rushed in, reporting hordes of monsters approaching fast. Immediately, Min's team sprang into action to protect the villagers. Takumi ordered Fong to seal all village entrances. Those beasts wouldn't break through the walls. Then he stepped out to face the threat head-on. At that moment, Man returned only to see the bridge drawn up and felt a wave of hopelessness. Inside, some spoke of someone who'd left earlier. Hearing this, Min vowed never to abandon anyone. He enlisted Titan to search beyond the walls. Just then, a pack of demonic wolves closed in. Man felt death's cold breath draw near, believing her life would end here in this moment. But in her darkest hour, Takumi stepped up, shielding her. He defeated 2 wolves with fierce resolve. Man warned there were many more behind them, but Takumi brushed it off calmly. Soon after, Sophia's group returned, announcing they had wiped out every monster threatening the village. They called the beasts weak, barely breaking a sweat. Min proudly boasted about his strong team. Seeing Takumi's wounded arm, Man helped bandage him gently. After this ordeal, she realized Takumi was nothing like she'd imagined. He risked his life to save others. Takumi assured her it was okay. Soon after, Sophia's group returned, proudly declaring they had wiped out all the monsters daring to threaten this place. The monsters were so weak they hadn't even broken a sweat. MH boasted about how strong their squad was. But when they saw Takumi's injured hand, Mani stepped in to bandage her. After this, Mani realized Takumi was entirely different from what she had imagined. She never expected him to risk his life to save others, recklessly brave and selfless. Seeing she wasn't seriously hurt was a relief. He also promised never to let anyone in the village suffer harm again. The very reason he created this sanctuary, so they could live lives of peaceful calm, like a gentle breeze fueling the fire of hope to keep going. It's heartwarming that Takumi showed such warmth and generosity, so he took the initiative to ask to work for Men, even if a bit late. Of course, Men agreed, much to the delight of the girls in the household, happy to welcome a new member to their lively home. News of a sudden city appearing on the border reached the Empire. They suspected it was connected to the Alchemist sorcerer in Botan, seeing it as a warning to their pet project, making the Emperor seethe. Then his daughter rushed in with the joyous news soon this continent would fall under the Cydonia Empire. Their father, upon hearing that the heroes had been summoned, was filled with boundless joy. A colossal power spread like wildfire, casting shadows over the land, a silent herald of dark times ahead. Takumi's group sensed it too, realizing their 1-year deadline had expired. Before this, Nolan once said she deliberately disrupted the flow of Takumi's time. Though summoned, he was allowed to get acquainted with his new life first. 3 months later, the Empire's heroes arrived and began to make their moves. Elizabeth announced the launch time had come. The whole continent must witness the true might of the heroes. The other two were electrified with excitement, convinced they would save the world. When asked about this, Akan feigned cheerfulness, calling it an adventure to roam countries as heroes. What could be better? Back at the village Takumi-built life was blossoming beautifully. Merchants began arriving to trade, villagers learned from craftsmen, brought from Botan to build houses, forge swords, and earn their livelihood. Jobs were steady and supporting families was smooth. Everyone was happy, every newcomer could live fully here unlike before. Sophia often visited the nearby forest to hunt monsters, helping reduce their numbers, bringing peace of mind to the villagers. Fong and Titan later brought back a terrifying monster they'd never seen before. The elf girl grew worried as a monster sighting surged alarmingly. After returning, they discussed with men that monsters were somehow growing stronger. Though not yet dire enough for everyone to rally, it was still a grave concern. It seemed the monsters were converging here. Sophia believed the cause lay in a magical disturbance 3 months ago. At least it must have affected the monsters somehow. Takumi still hadn't revealed to anyone that it was the Empire's hero summoning magic. That evening, his older brother from the Knights Guild arrived relaying a request for men to return to Botan. Rumours about the heroes began spreading. Men asked if the news started 3 months ago. His brother confirmed it, deepening Sophia's worry. That magical upheaval was terrifying. Later that night, Manny asked about Sidonia. Being chosen as the hero summoning ground, did it mean something special? Maria believed the goddess sent them to purge the wicked. Men still hadn't dared to share what he knew. Sidonia wasn't truly chosen. They used forbidden magic to summon him there instead. They hoped the heroes would be good. Meanwhile, the Empire began sending off the 3 heroes to flaunt their strength. The big guy asked about Akan bringing her maid, no claiming Lul, was her personal attendant, so hands off the young lady. The silver-armoured guy agreed to let her come, admitting his friend was generous. Elizabeth was praying to Anas, asking for blessings, when the statue radiated dark power, as if replying. The next day, men's group returned inquiring about the heroes. Elizabeth was praying to Anas, asking for blessings. Yet the statue radiated a dark power, as if responding. The next day, men's group returned to inquire about the hero. He was told there were 2 men and 1 woman, all with black hair. Takumi suspected they were Japanese like himself. The receptionist revealed the Empire's real aim was to pressure countries with many followers of the constructive church. As for today's mission, Han wanted them to escort someone from the Merchant Guild to the capital. After returning, Manny unexpectedly asked her master to let her come along. He worried she might be in danger. She thought staying here alone while everyone else left was too lonely, because she once felt the same way. Sophia also pleads to let that friend go with her, and since she can wield earth magic, Takumi agrees. For now, they must head to the guild to register as adventurers. But first, at the same time, the heroes start making their way towards the boss, mood sour. They feel the path is way too long and their bottoms ache from sitting. The silver armor guy asks about the capital, saying there are plenty of elves there, and he wants to capture a few for fun. An old man warns that slavery is forbidden here, but these 2 don't care, thinking being heroes means they have rights. At their current level above 30, they believe soon no one on this continent can match them. Akan stays calm, knowing this trip is the only chance to escape the small empire. He senses someone here will lend a hand. A few days later, Takumi's group finishes their escort mission, and the guild in the capital promotes them to A-rank adventurers. Mina is just starting out, so she's still at D rank. At this moment, 3 heroes storm in, shouting for everyone to clear the way immediately. 2 people who don't fight are quickly taken down in a show of power. When they discover Sophia is an elf, they set their sights on her and Mie. When asked to buy them, Mien refuses outright, which brands her as rebellious. The 2 girls don't even bother paying attention to the group. The fight begins, but Min easily breaks one sword and takes down the other. Seeing they're still fired up, Takumi warns about guild rules. Everyone's watching with sharp eyes. Depending on what happens next, a bigger battle could erupt. Silver Armor Guy is convinced that opposing the Holy Light Guild will be their biggest regret. After leaving, Akan rushes over to apologize and asks their names. He feels this girl isn't so bad, whispering that he'll wait for them at a nearby hotel. The adventurers all exchange sharp glances filled with resentment. Depending on what happened next, a huge battle could erupt. The silver-armored guy believed that opposing the Holy Light Church would make them regret it. After leaving, Akan rushed over to apologize, asked for their names, and introduced himself, feeling the girl wasn't bad. The young man whispered in her ear he'd wait for her at a nearby inn. Akan's foresight showed she might be someone they could rely on. That evening back at rest, Sophia shared that the two so-called heroes were truly terrible, ashamed to carry that title. Thankfully, the girl who followed them was different. Men revealed she had already invited that young one here. Outside, Anne was desperately trying to help Lou escape, fearing she might get in the way, yet the girl was determined to accompany Lou no matter what. Dam Lin had discovered them, so the pair had to flee once more. Luckily, reinforcements arrived in time, allowing them to escape successfully. Soon after, everyone gathered safely at the refuge. E thought no one would realize their arrival. So, no worries there. Anne expressed immense gratitude for the help received. Then, she boldly asked if Takumi was the Japanese summoned hero. Men was cautious, warning that Sidonia mustn't learn this secret. She promised absolute confidentiality. Takumi admitted he was Japanese, but Reborn, through the goddess, sent here on a mission. The reason he was here was tied to the group. Meanwhile, Sophia and the sisters were puzzled, not understanding a word of the young man's explanation. He began to unravel the entire incident outside. At that moment, two brave knights received news that Arn had vanished. They were upset, recalling how Arn acted strangely after leaving Sidonia. Due to today's events, everyone must return to Sidonia to reconsider their strategy. After learning men came from the world of the three heroes, the ladies inside were astonished. He even followed the goddess Nolin's will, meaning he was regarded as a divine messenger. They accepted this without protest. From now on, they knew the true villain was the Sidonia Empire. The world could be turned upside down by these two. Men firmly declared this. He longed for a peaceful, simple life as a craftsman, but with events escalating, he had no choice but to intervene. If Sidonia waged war on other nations, this place would surely be targeted. Fortunately, after assessing the two's strength, men found them not overly powerful. Sophia believed the Empire merely exploited the hero title to rally the masses. As the Holy Light Church gained influence, the situation grew worse for the creators here. Anne apologized deeply for the trouble caused, acknowledging that she herself was a victim. She revealed Akira and Yamato's personalities had changed since arriving at the Empire. She feared the royal family brainwashed them, or worse, that their food and drink were drugged. Kneeling, Anne begged Min for help for herself and the younger girl. She had waited long for a chance to escape and didn't want to miss it. At least she hoped they could be taken to another country to live. Men warned even then they'd be hunted down. Upon seeing the slave collar on Lou's neck, he was shocked at the Empire's cruel treatment, unlike Sophia and Maria, who were well cared for here. Knowing the girl wanted it removed, Min helped free her. The little sister cried, fearing Anne would abandon her, pleading to stay a while longer and promising not to interfere. Hearing this, Anne agreed. From now on, they'd be friends, not slaves. Men wanted to move them to the mansion for safety since they had to leave immediately. So they departed under cover of night. Thanks to Shaki's speed, everyone arrived by morning. They prepared beef stew with cream for the newcomers. Men said when he learned this place had milk and cheese, he was surprised and inspired to create new dishes. Lou was invited to eat like honoured guests. Maria thought it wouldn't be tasty since she cooked instead of Manny, but after tasting it, her emotions overflowed. No wonder this was the first truly comfortable meal since being summoned. That night, an emergency struck. A horde of monsters descended upon the newly built village. Takumi was at the mansion in Bot, so he was unaware of the attack. He was busy crafting weapons with Dua. Meanwhile, I gathered everyone to cancel the upcoming pact, fearing danger was near. Mera and Sophia reacted strongly, not wanting their master to abandon them again. The newly involved were also invited to eat like the first two guests. Seeing Akan cry, Maria thought the food wouldn't taste good, since Manny had cooked it, not her. But after tasting it, the delicious meal stirred deep emotions. It made sense, since her summoning she hadn't had such a comforting meal. Later that night, an emergency struck as a horde of monsters descended upon the newly built village. Takumi was at the mansion in the southern city, unaware of the attack. He was busy, working with Dua on weapon crafting. Meanwhile, I called everyone to cancel the upcoming truce between both sides, fearing danger. Mera and Sophia reacted strongly when their master Sophia reacted, when the master wanted to abandon them just like last time. He explained that from now on he wanted everyone to follow him. I explained that from now on I want everyone to follow me, not as traders or strangers, but as family. During the year we live here, you'll found countless joys with everyone, so both sides thought no further pact was necessary. They were certain their bond would only grow stronger and more resilient. Sophia believed that as long as she was by his side, she was content. Thus, the pact of the three girls was erased. Takumi then completed 2 new swords, but soon received urgent news from the guild that the newly built village was facing destruction. All BE rank adventurers had to rush to support. Takumi and his team hurried to the guild immediately. The Lionfang squad was already present. They learned that monsters were attacking the village, believing the humans' presence had drawn them in. The captain sent an emergency request, so the guild chief summoned all teams rank B and above. However, the situation was grim, as most teams were already on missions elsewhere, leaving only 3 teams available for rescue. Han believed these members were enough to rival hundreds of other squads. The Crimson Rose was a group of skilled male and female warriors. Maruda, the captain, greeted Takumi, having heard rumors this member possesses strength that rivals 100 other teams. The Crimson Rose is an assembly of skilled female warriors. Maruda, their captain, steps forward to greet everyone. Her presence commands respect, a beacon of hope. The members of this squad. Mr. Bark urged everyone to rush to the village immediately. The night order was also en route, but travelling by horse carriage with men was faster. So they set off at once to the new village, leaving Titan at home with Akakan and Lulu. Men also handed Sophia the holy sword, Amet Tarasu, newly forged from rare, precious materials, making it incredibly durable. There was another blade called the Supreme Sword, Tsukuyomi, which, when combined, created an astonishing effect. He planned to wield the sword alongside the elf to annihilate the powerful monsters. Hearing this, the girl felt honoured. Crafted from rare materials, this weapon boasts unparalleled power. There's another blade known as the Exquisite Sword. When combined, they unleash unexpected results. He will wield this sword alongside the elf to vanquish powerful foes. Hearing this, she feels honoured to fight side by side with him. Meanwhile, Maria updates everyone about the approaching teams. The monsters attacking the village are terrifying. She steels herself for the impending battle. They need to prepare quickly for the looming threat. The other team remains unaware of the dangers ahead. No one knew exactly what kind of monster was attacking the village. Fortunately, the walls they built were incredibly sturdy. Few monsters could break through them. But then Feng realized the creatures attacking could fly. This changed everything. This was truly a nightmare unfolding. So the team split up, acting swiftly, first targeting the winged beasts. These flying monsters had always been the greatest threat. The villagers who wielded magic unleashed torrents of spells, while the warriors charged into battle. Little Spider and Little Horse unleashed their devastating thunderstorm of destruction, wiping out the crawling monsters clinging to the walls. And so the relentless battle raged on without pause. At least it bought precious time, giving the soldiers inside a moment to catch their breath. Exhausted from lowering the drawbridge, the Takumi group entered, everyone splitting up to exterminate the remaining monsters lurking within the city walls. They fought until dawn, and finally, the 3 strongest adventurer squads completed their mission. The villagers rushed forward, celebrating, certain Takumi would arrive. He encouraged everyone, praising their bravery. He asked Duv and Man to tend to the wounded, while others supported the groups guarding outside. After ascending, anxiety shadowed everyone's faces as the monsters advanced and retreated in eerie coordination. It was as if they were working together. Normally, creatures wouldn't be clever enough to act this way. The soldiers reported that when they expected an attack, the monsters would retreat into the forest. But just as they rested, the horde would strike again. It felt like a leader directed the pack. Until now, no one had ever seen monsters with such intelligence, so they suspected this was tied to Sidonia. After summoning warriors, an immense magical energy radiated across the continent. It's likely this surplus power evolved the monsters. The summoning magic is forbidden by Goddess Nolan, so the monster's transformation is no surprise. Maruda mused that this campaign would be far more complicated than expected. Cutting to the Empire side, they received news of a massive monster horde attacking. They were elated. The numbers were enough to wipe out a nation. The devastation would be total. This was the perfect opportunity. The Emperor was eager to aid the monster's assault. Sidonia would seize the chance. His daughter urged the two warriors to deal heavy blows to allied nations, ensuring they couldn't support each other when the time came. Back to Men's place, the situation was tense. Many lay severely wounded. Men brought food to his sister, his worry for little Men clear as day. He reported that Men was supplying a large amount of healing potions to the injured. The reserves were already sent to the Merchant Guild, making new production difficult at this moment. Sophia asked the young man, and he said the potions only truly become precious when used in desperate times. Nervous, Sophia feared the monsters would attack again. She thought the potions should be saved for the adventurers outside. Men believed avoiding injury was the best hope. Seeing the villagers in pain was heartbreaking. Sophia understood this was Men's way of life, always prioritizing others over himself. Because of this, she vowed to loyally protect him. Later, the young man called for all children to gather, making them easier to manage. Viva and Manny took charge of this task. Little Spider announced the monsters were swarming closer. Others asked about the strategy. Takumi said it wasn't really a plan, but first they'd unleash spells to thin the numbers. Then Subak would charge in to provoke them. Together, as a team, they'd eliminate everything within reach. The numbers today were double yesterday's, so the three led the front lines while two others fired from above. More than just herself, she vows to protect the ones she loves. This commitment drives her to stand firm in the face of danger. The young man calls for the children to gather together. Veva and Manny will oversee this task to ensure safety. The little spider alerts everyone monsters are approaching fast. Others inquire about the battle strategy. Takumi responds, it's not a strict strategy. First, let's unleash spells to thin their ranks. Then, I'll have Subak provoke them into a frenzy. We'll form a team to eliminate every threat in our path. Today's numbers are double those from yesterday. Together, we'll stand firm and fight. In the front lines, 3 mages cast spells, while 2 archers rain arrows from above. The first wave has already significantly reduced their numbers. The frontline magic users, along with 2 archers positioned high above, fired relentlessly. The first wave succeeded in thinning out a good number of foes. Following the plan, they worked together to take down a swarm of monsters, making close combat their signature style. After holding the front line for a while, they began splitting up to handle the monsters attacking from the left and right. Meanwhile, the deadly Spider Kid stood atop the fortress wall, slicing any crawler that dared to scale up into 2. Sophia, wanting to lighten the load on Men, stepped out on her own, her weapon sweeping through dozens of monsters at once. Takumi ordered her to retreat, but the elf ignored him, standing firm on the front lines. Suddenly, the monsters pulled back and began turning on each other, leaving everyone bewildered. Soon, that creature evolved, growing far more powerful. It spewed poison at Sophia, forcing her to dodge desperately. The 2-headed dragon had grown larger than usual, and the elf was knocked down. Seeing this, Men rushed to protect her, thinking he should have brought the Titan along. Subak had also been taken down, so Sophia took it upon herself to lure the dragon out. It was hit by a painful shot and angrily charged forward, successfully spraying poison that weakened the elf's powers. Fortunately, only her arms and legs were heavily affected, so she could still move. At this moment, Fong and his 2 younger sisters joined in to help push the dragon back. Takumi and Sophia unleashed lightning skills, setting the beast ablaze. Before it could recover, the elf threw her sword to Men, who delivered the finishing blow. With his current mana, he easily landed a critical hit on the 2-headed dragon. Finally, Takumi sliced its body into pieces, ending the battle right there. But now, the elf needed to recover. Min asked why she had risked so much. She said she wanted to protect him, but was scolded if Maria's group had arrived even a bit later. She likely would have logged out. They advised the elf not to throw away her life like that. On the other's side, all the monsters had fled. Hearing this, men finally relaxed and collapsed exhausted. After a short rest, the young man woke up. At this point, the monsters have fled in terror. Hearing this, she finally relaxes and collapses from exhaustion. After a moment of rest, the young man awakens to good news. The elf outside is filled with joy. Mary compliments her captain, truly impressed by her prowess. The monsters have ceased their assault. Thus, in a few days, the group will regroup and recover. And a few days later, the group returned to Botan. At the same time, 2 warriors descended upon the allied nation, unleashing chaos and carnage, brutally slaughtering innocent people without remorse. No hint of guilt darkened their eyes. Back home, Maria and Manny threw a barbecue feast celebrating the victory. Manny's little spider friend was ecstatic, devouring every bite with joy. But Sophia, despite disobeying orders, still wore a veil of sadness. Maria brought some meat to Sophia, reminding her gently about her older sister's concerns. Seeing this, Manny had no choice but to bring food to make peace with Sophia. The young man apologized for scolding her, knowing Sophia risked everything to protect him. But her self-sacrifice wasn't what he wanted. What he wished for was trust, reliance on comrades, the true partners he longed for. Manny hoped that from now on, the family would live side by side, so he begged Sophia not to take reckless risks again. Both sides shared a warm smile afterward. A Khan brought meat to celebrate, only to be pulled away by Maria to another spot as the conversation turned serious. The next day, Takumi introduced the warrior friend to the Lord, who agreed to let her stay. He also revealed the massacre at a village. In the allied nation, the culprits were those 2 warriors. Hearing this, Akan was shocked, feeling powerless. In the future, they would surely face each other. She resolved to grow strong enough not to run away again. Takumi also met Nolan to ask why she sent him here a year ago. There had to be a reason. Those 2 would surely play a major role in his life, so advancing 1 year ahead was a way to prepare his strength to fight back. He promised to protect this world and all he held dear. Claiming the title of a talented alchemist, he took on the responsibility with pride. He even cherished his current life. In this journey of life, their progress comes as preparation. Advancing a year ahead enables them to gather strength. He vows to protect this world and everything dear to him. He acknowledges his role as a master alchemist, and with that comes great responsibility. He enjoys his present life too,